everyone for the bit of delays here and a bit of technical difficulties, but we need to get right into it because this is a game state we have to talk about. The Tank Buster is kind of ahead of Stolen Conch right now, pushing almost lethal damage. What is it here, Hash? He has to kind of block a lot of things here. Has to block the Jinx, has to block all of these Crimson Pigeons. He's at least doing 5 damage, and then it can probably get there with the Jinx swing. What a game to just get right back in here.
Yeah, I mean, look at this game state. It's turn 5, by the way, in case you haven't noticed. And look at this extremely explosive start by the Tank Buster. Jinx is already flipped. Like, this is absurd in terms of how much advantage Tank has been able to put out on the board and be just like the extreme aggressor in this matchup and try his best to close it off as soon as he can. This matchup is still winnable for Stolen Conch, but wow, this is such an insane start by Tank Buster.
And the Tank Buster also just, understanding I have to kind of keep this Jinx alive. But something that you want to also look out here is this, typical burn being top decked. A bit awkward because it isn't exactly lethal now, but nonetheless, you can still play this defensively and just wait it out. The thing with Stolen Conch's hand at the moment is you can't really deal with this Jinx, and I think the Tank Buster might have that as a understanding because you probably would have played this game differently. Maybe try to kill Jinx earlier on, and if it's there, then this engine of what she is will be, destructive for this lethal here, and a main reason why I kept around. And now Stolen Conch just trying to, do what he can, make somewhat type of a board, put the pressure through for the Tank Buster kind of block, and hope that might be enough, but I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Normally, this scout weapon is really, really good, and you're extremely happy to see it, but not in this case, because this shot just gets removed. Actually, I'm not sure if this is even the correct play by the Tank Buster. Maybe you go GE face. If there's this shot of scout swings, you block and then you play the rocket and the Tristana is gone, right? But Tank opting to go for this line, still not a bad outcome here. You can just take this for damage and play the rocket and then just play one more rocket next turn and swing. And it's probably lethal. So this is not a bad position for Tank to be in. Maybe it could have been better, but this game is almost over. I think it's very unlikely for Stolen Conch to find a win here, though it is still possible.
Yeah, I think it was just more maybe being respectable as possible, understanding that, I'm probably going to be winning any way that I can, and this top Jinx will do it here. The Tank Buster having one of the fastest runs in the tournament, and we don't even get to see majority of it, but the Tank Buster showing why he is going to be bringing it home and is one up now against VLLY. Stolen Conch didn't even have a chance to start with.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the stream, what did I say? I said I got to back my boy Tank, and I am backing my boy Tank going into this. There's still more to go, baby.
Right, and that's the thing with MR is you have so many powerhouses that can just 3-0. We kind of brought this up before with Kevor being the main one, but the Tank has also a lot of history in Aegis where, I'm going to play and I'm just going to 3-0 you like it's nothing. And we just saw that. So such a really nice way to kind of start off, even though it was, a bit of a technical difficulty type of Warzone that we didn't really get to see much. We at least know the, atmosphere and what might happen. And right now the Tank is on a perfect start for that to kind of just keep going.
Yeah, I mean, many people forget that 2 of the 4 players on this MR team are also 2 of the 4 players that got second place last season. And their run into the final in that playoff season, the Tank Buster and Prodigy, they lost 0 sets. They just swept. They just went 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and their first loss came in the final. These guys, they mean something. They are pretty good. They're pretty fucking good. Oh, my bad. Oops.
Also, don't forget that Kevor also came third, not in the Americas, but in the EU Aegis League under Anemo Mayo Bandits. So, you really do have such a high threat density of like really great players that have so much success in Aegis already. And I'm looking at it right now and knowing them is they're prepared for King of the Hill, and they just have so much experience that it's no surprise that they took this one already.
Yeah, and we're talking about past Aegis seasons and current ones and seeing how this is going to go. And it's very, very important to mention that none of what we're talking about would be possible without community gaming. The Aegis Esports LoR and Navori League is brought to you in part by Community Gaming. Community Gaming are an all-in-one tournament platform that helps supercharge events of all levels, from community grassroots to tier 1 professional events. Experience it for yourself. Start playing and earning at communitygaming.io today. Are we excited for the next game? Because we are going to be watching the Tank Buster play against either one of Dragon Guy who died or Vengevine. And I'm really excited for either of those. They're both great players.
Yeah, do we know the deck list for them?
Yeah, I know their lineups. So the Dragon Guy who died is on Jax Ornn, Fist Samira, and Nasus SI. Vaults of Helia, yeah. And Vengevine is on Narteam with Tristana Bilgewater, I believe. Let me just double check. Aatrox Quinn Vayne and Garen Jarvan Kaisa. Yeah, it is the Nar Tristana Bilgewater.
Okay, why are we doubling up on decks? Hello, like I really don't think Nar Tristana is that great. Like, am I crazy? Like, I think it has some leeway, but it just doesn't do much. You know, you're running a lot of chumpers.
You're crazy, Annie. I think it's just that, like, the main reason this thing is happening is because, I think the way most people think about it is that it's really hard not to bring two Tristana decks and two Samira decks, right? But regardless of whether that is true or not, I'm excited to see the next game. But for now, we're going to be heading into a break, trying to recalibrate after the really hectic first set. We really apologize for that, guys. And we will be back, so stay tuned.
Fellow armsmen, I ask you, will you follow me tonight to break their spine and reclaim what once was mine? Those cravens backstabbed me, deceived me. Never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Oh, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our Gloria to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power, lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
Welcome everyone. We are back. I am Romain, as you can see with my flip name here, and we have Hash back into a bit of a haphazard one, but we saw what happened in the first round, and it was the Tank Buster taking it for, MRT, and somewhat surprises for maybe the community, but not for us, Hash. We knew who were going to win that, and now we are up into the next round with Vengevine stepping up to the plate, and we've got Vengevine's decks here, and if you saw what happened in that last part was, the Tank Buster kind of ran through what Vengevine is bringing again, and that might be something that could be a worry for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking at this same deck again, the Nar team with Tristana, Bilgewater Splash. I know Annie has complained a couple of times already about people bringing two of the same deck, but this deck has proved to carry its own weight and be a very, very, very big contender this meta. I'm very interested to see how it's going to go again. And honestly, the other thing I was thinking of is considering that, Conch played this deck, Vengevine played this deck. We saw how set one went. Does it ever, cause doubt in players and make them think that they should ban differently? Is Vengevine going to ban something he didn't plan on banning beforehand? Do you think?
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes, especially when you're watching with others and you're waiting for your turn to kind of play, you can definitely go, okay, maybe this wasn't the correct ban, and Conch could have been more cautious about certain things, and we could definitely see it. Like, we have to know what Vengevine else is playing here, but just with that thought of like seeing Tristana and I just lose absolutely drastically, you could maybe see a Samira ban this time.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see, and it really depends on the other decks that Vengevine is on, right? Because we already mentioned this earlier, but to reiterate, we're gonna see Vayne Quinn Aatrox make an appearance in this set as well. Bit of an interesting list. The first thing that came out straight to my face is the spell ratios. There's only one copy of Catch, but there's an extra copy of Form Up. They're prioritizing single combat. There's no Cataclysm. There's no Condemn. I think that makes a lot of sense given this meta. These tools, like single combat, is extremely, extremely good into Bandle City decks. So I think it makes some amount of sense. Very excited to see this deck because it's one of my favorite decks in the game, and I really, really like clean Aatrox play. I have had the privilege of watching Floppy Mutka play this deck, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and the thing with Aatrox is, sure, it might be susceptible to a lot of things in the meta. It can just be really strong, and the main takeaway of why maybe it doesn't do as well is it can just be based on the player. Like this deck, like you were saying, if played really well, and a main reason why people like RPG normally bring it is because when you have one of the best players on it, it can just take almost every other game, and it's just partly due to the versatility of Aatrox and why you can tutor with it, and cards like that and decks like that can do that. A reason why it can be the strongest. And yeah, I like these cards as well. The single combat is very nice into Bandle decks, and maybe a reason why Vengevine going into the Tank Buster feels a bit more favored.
Yeah, the Aatrox will be quite good into the Tank Busters lineup. I think this forces the Swain Alawi ban, I think. But we'll see depending on Vengevine's third deck, because maybe it's even more polarized. Speaking of polarized, and I did not completely just set that up blatantly, we're playing Kai'Sa today. I'm a big, big, big fan of Kai'Sa when it had 6 copies of Kai'Sa with Right of Calling. But since that card got rotated, I have been very skeptical of the deck, even though I consider myself one of the most prolific Kai'Sa players on the EMEA server. I don't know how I feel about this deck right now. It has issues. It's not that consistent. It has clunkiness. It's over-reliant on Kai'Sa. It tries to go into this swarmy game plan with Garen Genevieve, and it works sometimes, but the deck just feels so flimsy when it doesn't draw Kai'Sa.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you have a reliable alternate way to win the game, and then the majority of everything you're doing outside of Kai'Sa just feels weird, like you're saying. You can't really. The only weird saving grace is maybe Void Blaster beatdown with Cataclysm, but it just usually isn't enough. And you really do need to find your Kaisers at least some part of the game. And if you just don't, you run into similar sort of things like, a VLLY Swain, where if you don't find that certain champion, you can just kind of lose. And this is, the embodiment of that. And now we are into the bans, and at least this is a nice sight to see a bit more, diversity. And we see the bans straight away. And hey, we talked about it. Maybe they just throw out the Samira, Jinx ban. And I don't actually know if that is correct. I feel like they might have done a weird jump around here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think what's going on here is there's a slight case of disrespecting Swain Alawi, and I don't know how I feel about it. I am not too optimistic about Vengevine's chances into Swain Alawi with either of his decks whatsoever. I'm sure Vengevine disagrees with me, and I'm sure they're a player that knows how to play that matchup because 1, he's a good player. 2, his own teammates are on that deck, so he probably knows how to play against it. I'm excited to see how it goes, but I'm really, really skeptical about this ban. On the other hand, the Tank Busters ban makes perfect sense. I'm not biased at all. At all.
Yeah. I felt like that was, the most obvious one that kind of picks out on everything else. And if you did assume that Swain was going to be banned, this is the most, perfect sense out. You can basically justify this Aegis ban almost always. And I really feel like this is a weird recency bias thing that Vengevine did, where they just saw how the Samira Jinx just ran through that Bilgewater deck, and you're like, oh no, now I got to deal with this. I'm just going to ban it, and now you're running into another problem where that Swain is going to, like you said, going to probably be a bit more destructive here, and especially running around a few things into this like Demacia deck as well. It must be, a nice sight for the tank buster to have that up for them.
I'm a little concerned about Vengevine's chances going into the set. The Kaisa deck is not as good as you would like it to be outside into Swain Alawi. I was about to say it's good in this matchup. So if you get this matchup, we're probably happy. Looking at the hands, Tankbuster has a very reasonable Tristana hand. Vengevine has a very reasonable Kaisa hand that does not have Kaisa, but if it draws Kaisa, it's going to be amazing. So it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth here because both decks are going to try to get on the board, do their chip damage, try to cheat out their engines. Like, Tank is going to try to swarm as fast as possible. Vengevine is going to try to evolve as fast as possible. And then it's not really a race. It's more so a matter of, I think, as long as Vengevine draws Kaisa, he should be okay. If he doesn't, there's a bit of a problem.
And like, the Tank Buster's hand is also really good as well. Like, this Tristana pickup is absolutely, insane here. You can kind of now just go very swarm heavy and try and battle it out to the point where Vengevine might not really want to be focusing on, trading down. Because the thing with, like, playing this matchup or playing this deck in general without the Kaiser is you need some board. And if the Tank Buster can keep pressuring to the point where Vengevine doesn't really want to trade through or has to feel like he forcefully has to block, this gets very good for him. And then you can kind of transition into that Bandle Gunner's game plan. So even though it doesn't look great for the Tank Buster right now, it's going to slowly become more explosive and more...
This swing is beautiful, by the way. This swing is beautiful. Wow. This prize fight and the swing, it shows such a great understanding of the matchup. Tank is saying, this is your best second skin target with Kaisa. I'm removing it if you block. And that's exactly what happened here. And it makes perfect sense because Tank doesn't have a ping in his hand to actually deal with the Kaisa when she comes down. So he's saying, I'm just going to remove your second skin target. What an incredible play by the Tank Buster. It's very, very nice to see a good player spots such an important line in the matchup. And Vengevine walked right into it. I think Tank Buster has set himself up for success from this point onward.
Not only is a macro game plan as well, but for micro sense, that is also one of the best plays you can do because we talked about the Tristana and this Maya, and if it does get threatened down by that Broadwing, your chances of winning is definitely, gonna dwindle. But getting rid of that, challenger now makes you kind of be allowed to play things like this, and now this hand just gets better and better, and this board as well just, man, especially with the Tristana level up.
Yeah, this was I love that. That was such a good line, man. Oh, Tank, what a beautiful player, man. He's showing that he is one of the best in the region. I am so happy to see that line. I love watching good LOR. We see this barrier blocker come down. It does pose some problems because there is an evolution happening as well, if you will. But this is an extremely large amount of damage being outputted here, and I don't see a win condition in Vengevine's hand. So this looks pretty rough here.
Right. I mean, the takeaway here is at least, like, you're not actually getting any bad trades with Vengevine. Like, you are actually, you can get a block onto the Tristana and you can kind of get some nice trades here. But this is, like you were saying, pushing a lot of damage and it's going to get rough. One thing I also just think about that play before and like how you talked about, understanding the best matchups and using that type of interaction in a way, it kind of brings me back to Tree almost. Tree was a similar point where it has minimal interaction and you have to kind of play for a certain game plan where you really need to kind of think outside the box and, take advantage of that. And the Tank Buster kind of being being an advocate and being a main reason behind why Tree was good, it's showing why he likes Bandle Swarm decks like this, because it has a lot of parallels, and even though that small type of interaction, it can go a long way, and that might really be the decider for this matchup.
Yeah, so what Eniamor is saying basically is that if you ever think you like the Tank Buster, just remember that his favorite deck was Bandle Tree, and he's actually just like the spawn of all evil in the world. But all jokes aside, everything Eniamor said makes perfect sense. And wow, okay, there's the top deck Kaisa, and there is no interaction. This game might just flip now.
Okay, let's think about it here. So we got the Kaiser that's taking most of this board away. If I was...
No, wait, it's lethal. Isn't it lethal?
Oh, because of the Cataclysm?
Yeah, so you copy the scout, it resolves. You swing with the scout, it goes through. You Cataclysm, and then you full swing.
Right. Okay, yeah, no, that actually... Wow, that is a play and a half. So... Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And the Tank Buster doesn't...
It loses to a ping, but I think, like, Vengevine in this position has to go for it, because if he doesn't go for it, he's losing all of his board next turn to the swing. So it's a risk you have to take. And I'm not sure if it's exact lethal. If it's not exact lethal, the Tank Buster can still get out of this, because there's a hand with double Bandle Gunners. But it's gonna be really tight, and I think it might just be lethal. I think Vengevine is doing that now.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is a safer play, and you can actually just throw the tough onto this scout unit and just clear down the board. Like, sure, like this lethal line is, the like really good here, but I'm just like thinking like, okay, is that just clearing out the board just going to do it as well?
Board. Yeah, it seems like Vengevine agrees with you, and I don't hate it, because what's going to happen is because Tank is going to be forced to develop next turn, right? And you just Cataclysm the development, and whatever interaction Tank Buster uses, it gets right of negationed. So yeah, you don't need to actually go for lethal here, and it kind of plays around. It plays around a double ping, some pinging the unit that gets Cataclysm, that kind of stuff. So this is an overall safer line, and evaluating that clearing the board is enough is actually like very reasonable for Vengevine. Yeah, this makes sense. This is why Vengevine is me. See,
the only problem with that was like he just like Aegis on the wrong, like on his Kaiser afterwards when he could have lost the group shot.
Mm-hmm.
But like. Sure, like that's still okay. I mean, you are still clearing down the board, and one of your, best defense options is having a good offense, and that's what he's doing. Vengevine is now just dwindling down this board and trying to make a type of way where, the Tank Buster just doesn't have any steam and can't really run for it. And I would say there would be a chance for the Tank Busters kind of now. Maybe you just fill up this board and then go through with this Tristana and Bandle Gunners, but you do have that Cataclysm. And on the back swing, when it hits Vengevine's turn, the Tank Buster's turn again, Vengevine just has that Cataclysm to change the pace once for all and then have another rally on site.
Yeah, I don't think there are quite enough actions for the Tank Buster to actually present enough of a threat to make this game awkward for Vengevine. I think this Cataclysm will do a good job by wrapping it up. Is there any top decks? I'm not sure. I can't think of any.
So you have 6, you have 9. Actually, Prize Fight would be lethal, right?
Yeah, Prize Fight was the top deck. Here you don't draw the Prize Fight, so you go for the Bandle Gunners.
But this isn't... Yeah, so this is still only dealing 6 damage on the part of the Tank Buster, and then they also have the Rally to go through. So there's probably the Tank Buster here trying to fight as best as possible, but can't even really swing. This Kaiser is just going to be, walking through, and Tank Buster, it's almost a desperation of some sorts, but this will wrap up the game. We didn't actually go for lethal last turn. Played it a bit more safe, but that's all we kind of had to go. And it goes to Vengevine's turn. Goes for the attack. The Tank Buster knows that they can't get through with this win, and Vengevine takes it. Vengevine doing some justice for Stolen Conch, and now being 1-0 against, MRT.
And what did we say about this Kaisa deck? It draws Kaisa, it wins on the spot. Doesn't draw Kaisa, looks kind of bad. The game looked horrible, especially after the prize fight interaction that happened when Tankbuster swung with the Owlcat, which was my favorite play of the day so far. But yeah, when you draw Kaisa and you have a scout unit on the board and there's not enough interaction in a deck that doesn't really have that much interaction in the form of Tristana, it's going to be rough, and that's exactly what we saw. Moving on, we have the mirror match. The only main difference in these lists is that one of the players is on 3 NAR, and one of these players is on a Teemo instead of the third NAR. I think the person with 3 NAR is favored. But, well, not because it's tank, but simply because I think the 3 NARs are very good in the mirror match because of Wallop. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I agree. But it also kind of comes down to what type of hands you have, and man, there's a lot of similarities here. Double Maya is literally what you want, and even though the Tankbuster doesn't actually have that Tristana to kind of, combat later on, they have that Nar, and that Nar will generate certain draw and just, make certain game states be a bit more favorable for the tank.
So, yes, but also something else, and this is a good thing for Vengevine, actually, is one of the most important things in these Tristana mirrors is the amount of improvised cards you have. Because they, 1, allow you to grind, because every card has a Posido Last Breath, draw 1, because you get the equipment back. 2, it turns cards that don't demand answers into cards that demand answers. 3, sometimes you just hit Overwhelm or Scout and the game turns upside down. Because of how it goes on Battle Gunners, how it goes on Tristana. And currently, Vengevine has 2 improvise, but Tankbuster just manifested into another one. Wait, is this Tankbuster's mayor, right? I think it's Tankbuster's mayor. Yeah.
It is the Tankbuster's mayor.
Yeah. So if he picks one of the improvised cards and both players have 2 improvise, I still think Vengevine is slightly ahead because Shepard is more efficient at putting something on a threat. But it's really important to note the role that improvised cards play in this matchup because it's legit. And we see Tank taking the Shark Trainer, which might be a misassessment, but it also makes sense because the Shark Trainer is doing something that the rest of the Tankbuster's deck is not doing, right? Where it's being like a beefy unit that's hard to deal with. It's just essentially another threat in a deck that's not too threat heavy.
And wow, we're talking about Overwhelm and Scout kind of needed in this matchup, and they both get it. Vengevine does find the one that is slightly more warranted and maybe more needed for his hand right now, and the Tankbuster also probably finding the best one for him. This Scout on Nar is really nice to a point where if the Nar is flipped and you put it on afterwards, you do just clear down the board or push a bit of damage. But something I kind of want to bring up as well is in Vengevine's hand is, are these prize fights also a way to kind of break down the mirror? Because we are talking about these high chances for kind of going for a typical equipment swing into mitigating a few things, and maybe if they grab Tristana, it's going to be a problem. But does a prize fight just put you back into it?
Yeah, so it's very possible that prize fight allows you to just get out of spots that you are in a very, very bad shape in, right? Because it's just again, as I said, these are both decks that they have threats. They don't have that many, and prize fight being able to deal with them very efficiently actually is always going to be a good thing. It's never going to be bad. We see the Shark Trainer come down. I'm very interested in how the Tankbuster played this game out because I feel like there is a signpost, there is a Dar, and there is an Eye of Nagakapuros stuck at the end of our hand. And I can't help but feel like we had to, well, not the signpost so much, but the other 2 cards, we had to get them out of our hand because they help us find more cards. And if you look at the Tankbuster's hand, it's not actually doing that much. It's an 8-mana Battle Gunners. It's a King's Court that doesn't do anything because there aren't any threats on the board to complement it. So I feel like maybe playing the Eye this turn or even the Nar was better, but he opts for the Shark Trainer and it gets removed immediately.
Yeah, and even though this is, a free mana removal here on the Shark Trainer, I feel like this is the main reason the Tankbuster actually chose it. kind of going for just a high threat turn. And if you're looking at this is like not bad for the tank buster. He's still up on the board, and now you might have the understanding of, hey, I can play King's Court, and when I play King's Court, I'm actually now going to be just like running with this game. The only problem is like Vengevine does have such a pressure heavy hand with all the swarm that you did just like empty out, where they now have that availability to get back onto the board and now maybe push through a lot of damage, because you probably want these Mayors to stick on the board.
Yeah, this Mayor swing from tank makes a lot of sense. Just identifying that these Mayors won't be getting as much value as Vengevine's cards on the board might be getting, so might as well try to cash in the damage. See the second Shepherd come down, and Fearsome against Bandle City. You guys remember Fearsome against Bandle City being pretty good when that region was everywhere, right? This is a pretty good keyword to hit here. There's a Bandle Commando. A Heavy Metal is a decent pickup from the Tank Buster, but again, you need to find time to play your draw spells, and now you're just under a bit too much pressure to actually do that without losing a lot of tempo.
And then if they just play like a Fearsome blocker as well, you just go, oh, here's my Overlord. But like, sure, you can play that Heavy Metal like we discussed, but it's still not great. Like, there's a lot of things that the Tank Buster is kind of fighting up for, and like the way that I'm thinking about trying to win this game now is like, you're in a sense where you're kind of behind, and it would be through King's Court, but you also kind of need Bandle Gunners, and your Bandle Gunners is nowhere near being cheap enough to even play.
Yeah, it's like I'm probably gonna ask Tank after we're done today about this play, how he played this game out. We see Dinar finally come down. It's obviously going to be good because it's going to generate a Poke Stick, and in this position, that's really, really, really important. I like that he didn't elect to go for the group shot plus Heavy Metal because it looks obvious, but at the same time, it has the issue of you're kind of 2-for-1ing. Like, yeah, you're killing an equipment, so it's not exactly a 2-for-1, but you're using 2 cards to deal with 1, and you're a little too behind. And when Vengevine presses OK and plays another Tristana or even an Owlcat, not an Owlcat, the Commando, you can just start getting outgrinded. So the decision to play Nar makes sense to me.
Yep. And I don't mind this from Vengevine as well. Just playing it somewhat slow, but you don't really need to play this Overwhelm. And the thing with this is like, sure, you dwindle down the board and you can kind of put some damage here. And wow, if the Tank Buster lets us go through, that's just 11 straight damage. I understand why, but it's really insane to kind of think about just taking this much.
I mean, it's probably just an assessment of the clock, and Tank Buster is probably saying that this doesn't change how fast I end up losing the game. But at the same time, this Overwhelm weapon is face up, right? So you know that if you're taking this 12, your plan is to basically say you'll play this Overwhelm weapon and I will have to remove it. So there's a lot of mana considerations involved here, because if you play the Heavy Metal on the Overwhelm weapon, then you give your opponent the opportunity to hit the Scout weapon with another improvised card, right? If you wait for the swing and you Signpost, it's 4 mana, so you can get choked by Vengevine depending on how he plays it out. So it depends a lot on how this is going to be navigated. The Scout weapon goes back to the Tank Buster's hand, which is not going to be bad long term. I'm just not sure if there is a long term.
And it's like, the only thing I'm worrying about here is we can't actually kill this Tristana, and you can just find that impact worth the damage. Like, I also don't know if, like, keeping Nar alive or trying to, like, find that draw is even worth it either. Because now you fall out onto a certain point where, like, any type of chance for you to, get through with this game is maybe that extra health. And if you don't have it, like, you just can't really get through. Tristana now just gonna be like playing a lot of things unless you get prize fight here, but the Tank Buster doesn't find it, and this impact is gonna be absolutely scary for the Tank Buster.
I mean, does Tank just have to jam King's Court?
I feel like you can't. Like, I actually feel like that's the way you lose now. You kind of have to go wide, but you can't even go wide. Like,
yeah, how do you go wide? Look at his hand.
Weird.
Yeah, look at his hand.
okay, Pokey draws us Terra, and then we have like Grumble Slug, and then maybe we can kill a unit that finds impact, but we have to like play the Grumble Slug first. Like, we can't play King's Court here. Like, I'm pretty sure we just lose.
Wait, how many? Wait, what did you say Pokish draw into?
To Terra. But
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure. This is a really, really tough spot. Like, there's the idea of playing King's Court, yeah, which Tang goes for. I feel like it's the easiest line to see, but it's not as good as you think it is. Yeah, I completely agree. It has issues.
it's like, sure, we prize fight the Tristana, but you get the impact you want. Like, that's the worry here.
Yeah, huh. This is gonna be quite a thriller to watch here.
Like, okay. So, like, well, we prize fight the Tristana, and then we have double ping. We kill off the 4-1, and we kill off Tristana, and then they get 2 fruit. But if Vengevine just plays the Fae unit, the 7 mana one, then isn't that still lethal? You have to find another top deck like prize fight, unless I guess you have heavy metal into group shot, so there is actually a chance, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. So we go here and let's see. Okay,
wow,
and
we find the prize fight as well.
Okay, it's very important that Tech realizes that he needs to prize fight here.
Okay, so man, we didn't even prize fight before, so this is what we really needed. We needed that top deck here, and it's just about a mana now. Like, prize fight into that's 4, that's 6, 7. You would probably have the heavy metal as well.
What an absolute nail biter, dude.
Is he gonna just like group shot his own unit? Is that the idea?
I think that's the idea, or there's a chance that Tank forgot that you can't prize fight in combat.
Why can't you prize fight in combat?
Because of impact?
Oh, right. True, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue.
Does that still work for if it's opposing? Like, if you're on the opposing end rather than...
Yes, it's when the unit strikes during combat.
Okay. Well, so is there a way we can just impact here? We would have to prize fight onto the double impact, right? Kill off our own King's Court, and then we would group shot our 2/2 as well. But our 2/2 would have to be on the 6/4. But then you also run into the problem with a 2/3.
Yeah, I don't see how Tank Buster survives this. Yep, and you see all the cards going back, and yeah, Vengevine takes the set, and we have a game. It's 1-1.
Wow. I mean, I feel like there was a chance for the Tank Buster to get there. That's like such a super complex line. That line there was just super complex, where it does come down to like literally trying to kill off your own units. I think prize fight, but you have to do that prize fight and probably heavy metal to kill off the other impact as well, rather than playing another unit there. So I'm pretty sure the Tank Buster might have been okay.
I think so. I think there is a world where he can survive. Yes.
Yeah. It's hard to think. I really want to just like go through that again and just like do the mash, right? Because like on the spot, you don't want to jinx it and just say, "Oh yeah, the Tank Buster had it," because you want to give them some justice. But if there was a line to survive, you kind of get back into that game, keeping King's Court alive, and now just getting through and having that type of units that actually made Bandle Gunners being able to be played there could have actually had you that opportunity for success for you to be in that 2-0 spot. But Vengevine does take it, gets what he needs to kind of get back into the game. It looked a bit scary. There was a few things that might have could have gone wrong, but took it here, and with that we will need some time, and that we will be going to a break. So everyone,
Absolutely.
stay tuned, and we'll come with a next set as soon as possible.
The worst. You are the best at being the worst. With a little bit of love, a little more hate, it always hurts to say you are the best at being the worst. I wish I could reach out. I wish I could scream out. I wish that someone can hear my silent screaming. Flatline of my soul, I'm on the floor. The darker the dream, the darker the sky. I look up and I see something in the moonlight, the shadows in my head. Give in to the silence of emotions that I dread. I raise hell in my mind. I raise hell in my mind. And I try to weather the pain. I try, but it's always the same. I try, but I'm always the obstacle in the way. Turn it inside out. Let the secret out. The darker the dream, the darker the sky. I look up and I see something in the moonlight, the shadows in my head. Give in to the silence of emotions that I dread. I raise hell in my mind.
Welcome, everybody. We are back to playoffs, and we are into the third round. You know, the Tank Bus wasn't a swift lead, but is now taken down by Vengevine, which means Vengevine will be versing a previous seasonal winner, and that being Prodigy. And I'm pretty excited for this one. Prodigy bringing Ash LeBlanc, which is somewhat surprising and not so at the same time. You know, like Ash LeBlanc doesn't seem play, but then when you think about like Prodigy, he just plays like the most random, like traditional mid-range stuff that you could think of. So there is like some theme to it and like some understanding, like, oh yeah, okay, it makes sense why Ash LeBlanc's being played. It's Prodigy, you know, basically plays almost every mid-range deck you can think of, and you know, they are facing Vengevine, which has showed some great technical play, and it's going to be something, you know, spectacular to watch.
Yeah, Prodigy is known for taking decks that are very, very bad and pretending they're very, very good. And Ash LeBlanc is one of them in this scenario. I think Prodigy is a really good player. I think his ability to identify decks that are actually good is horrible, but his play carries him. He's a seasonal champion. He's spoken for himself, and he is well worth the amount of respect people have for him. And if you want to be as good as Prodigy, check out MetaFi. It's a really, really good platform. It allows you to learn from and play with some of the best players in the world, just like Prodigy. It grants you private one-on-one coaching session with elite coaches, some of which are even playing today. Choose from the top Legends of Runeterra coaches and book your first session in less than 3 minutes. You can also instantly chat with the coaches in real time. I personally love the convenience of being able to select the right coach for the deck I want to practice. And if you're interested in getting coaching from these players, try MetaFi today. Let's move on to the decks.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about kind of like bad decks being played with like these players excelling to them and bringing them to the light of like playability. Almost like early on, we did say that's kind of like the perfect parallel of these two teams, and like it's kind of funny that they are clashing now because we see it here with Echo Jinx. If you don't know, Echo Jinx actually had the worst win rate last week of the Aegis play-ins, and I think it went like 6 to 23 or something losses, and there's a reason why. Like, sure, it might have some great matchups, but the deck overall does struggle, and this list, it's kind of funky. We are on 2 Aftershock, doing a bit of weird nonsense here, but 2 Feral Presence, which is the really weird thing about that is like, usually you're all or nothing. It's really weird to, you know, run less than 3 because it's just about keeping Echo consistent and like emptying out your hand. And if you just run 2, it's like a bit weird, but somewhat in suit of like Prodigy being how he is with like certain ratios, there's some sense for it.
Yeah, Echo Jinx, this is either a fan favorite or the exact opposite, depending on who you ask. People either love this deck or they despise it and think it's everything that is wrong with LOR. And I can sympathize with that. I love this deck, but my God, you feel like you're at such a chokehold when you're getting out, like when you're getting swept by it. Like this deck's high roll is absurd. Like, have you read Chrono Break? That card says everything comes back and you win. Like there, it plays around an inherent mechanic of the game, which is when a unit is dead, it's dead. But Chrono Break just goes nope, and also give me an attack token. It's absurd. It's really, really absurd.
Yeah, and like the thing with like the Echo Jinx list as well is like this becomes a lot more clunkier because you have to kind of juggle between Echo and Jinx, and when you actually have 2 in the hand, you're not really, you know, popping either of them off until like turn 6 because of how much you kind of have to like pay for, and like it's really kind of awkward to like see, oh yeah, am I going to go for the Jinx? Am I going to like go for the Echo? If I go for the Echo, then I'm just generating cards. So it's just an abundance of funkiness. But one thing I have to say, I'm glad people are running this and not that weird Latin version, which was just like Echo and Heedless Resurrections. You and actually Hair Hash, but that was like the source of the weekend play-ins, and it just did absolutely terrible. So I'm glad that people are still sticking to some sense and playing Jinx.
Yeah. I mean, Jinx joining the Echo package really like showed it to go to the top. And also, I would like to thank Runeterra AR for this ability that we've had access to. You guys can also see the QR code. Shout out to them. They've been doing a really good job at keeping up the LOR scene, and people like me who enjoy data visualization really benefit from a website like that. So shout out to Runeterra AR. Thank you so much for all the effort that you guys put in. Moving on, we have Nasus. So this deck, I still can't comprehend that we rotated so many cards that this pile of garbage is now viable. I actually just can't wrap my head around it.
Oh, it's Volatile Helio. What else do you want? Like, sure, you have to run so many bad cards, but Shepherd into Volatile Helio is such a power spike of a 2-card combo that you just get 2 ahead, and then like the game kind of snowballs into your Kindles, and then you've Terror of the Tides, which people are either playing that or the Detonator, which I'm actually more a fan of Detonator. I think there's quite a few interesting spots where you have a board and you can actually clear most of it on that Detonator, that you can get through quite a bit. But Terror of the Tides does something as well and can still get through with Nasus more reliably, that it makes sense for both of them to either see a place in this deck.
Yeah, and this is just another Shirima pile with Rockbear Shepherd, which has been proven to be one of the region's best cards since it came out, right? That card is like really good at what it does. Like the combo of playing Ancient Prep on turn 2, Rockbear on turn 3, Vaults of Helio on turn 4 means you get a turn 5 Nasus. And that's exactly the kind of combo that this deck is going for, right? Obviously, it's very fragile and polarized because it's a landmark deck, so anything with Aftershock is kind of rough, but the deck, when it does what it's supposed to do, is really scary.
Yeah, and we did talk about Aftershock, and like that probably makes sense why Prodigy bought it in Echo Jinx, and it just follows suits of like his deck building. He will run interesting, tech cards just to be very specific here in matchups, and a main reason why he gets ahead. Like, sure, we don't see it really here besides a Black Spear, but he brought something like Naturalist in his Mono Viego deck back in the day when he actually, I'm pretty sure he won seasonals. I could be wrong, but he runs very, very sketchy tech cards that still find some effort, and we'll probably see his food list and maybe even one or two of those tech cards as well.
Yeah, excited to see what the third list is. And looking at it here, it seems to be Ash LeBlanc, which you already mentioned, and I just completely forgot because I'm a bad caster. This deck was really popular in the last format with it had a better iteration of Ash where she ended up getting nerfed on her level up condition. There was also one other nerf that happened to this deck, if I remember correctly. Reckoning, yeah. Reckoning went from 6 to 7 mana, and Reckoning was actually the reason that deck showed up in the beginning. So that's probably part of why the deck has fallen off. I think the meta has also become a little bit more hostile to it. We know that Ash is very good into Demacia, but into a card like Champion Strength, it doesn't matter how good you are into Demacia, you still can't consistently beat that card as much as you want to be. So its reliability against these decks falls off. Bandle Swarm is a little bit of an aggro deck, and we all know that Ash LeBlanc has always been somewhat weak to aggro. So it's a very poorly positioned ladder deck, but in a tournament meta with the right read, and when you're a player like Prodigy, who is a player who's really good, it might actually prove to be worth bringing. So excited to see how it goes.
We are into the bans here, and looking at this right now, Hash, what do you think, Prodigy or Vengevine might ban in this case?
So, Vengevine has to ban Nasus, yeah? I think so. Well, So this is really weird because Prodigy has 2 decks that beat Aatrox and 1 deck that doesn't. Vengevine's Kaisa is bad into Echo, bad into Nasus, good into Ash. You would think it's not good into Ash, but actually all you need to do in that matchup is give your Kaisa Formidable, and it's all good. I'm interested to see if the ban is gonna be Ash or if it's gonna be Nasus. I don't think it's Echo.
I mean, we also have to remember you have to actually draw Kaiser.
Okay, yeah, but like that's a concession you were taking at the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's not something that like. Also, like the hyper geo of drawing Kai'Sa on 5 when you full kick isn't that low. It's like reasonable. So like we like to joke a lot about this deck not doing anything with Kai'Sa, but like the chances of seeing Kai'Sa are not that low. From Prodigy's side, the ban is probably not Aatrox. Yeah, I think the ban from Prodigy's side is going to be Tristana. Prodigy probably thinks he's beating all of these decks, but I think he banned Tristana because of Tristana versus Ash.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure Prodigy probably thinks he beats everything. Like,
yeah, we see Tristana ban. Yeah.
This is echoed out, like you were saying, the Tristana ban is being taken off the board, and makes a lot of sense. Like, that Swarm is problematic into the Ash, and no Reckonings means you can't really keep up with that. And even if you did, they probably just like swarm a lot more after that, and that's the reason why a lot of people just play Tristana. You have a lot of constant pressure and can just keep being quite the menace. And wow, what are we thinking? Like, okay, I know the matchup could be anything here, but do you think Prodigy might like have a typical favorite he might go for in the start, or is he just gonna randomly choose it?
Q order doesn't matter for Prodigy, it matters for Vangevine. Because you really need to avoid Aatrox versus Ash. That's the main thing.
Right, okay.
So with that logic in mind, it still doesn't actually like matter what you queue first, because that's not really like, in theory, it doesn't matter what you queue first, you should just be flipping a coin. But maybe there's some read or something.
I reckon Prodigy is going to play Ash, okay? And then Vengevine will have to play on Kai'Sa 100%.
Nope, you got Ash right, but you got Aatrox. But you got Aatrox instead, which this puts Prodigy in a very good position because he hit the matchup that's really, really good for him.
Well, you see what happened there. Vengevine just didn't think about it hard enough.
Okay, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. This is not the kind of hand I expected. There's two Broadwings. There's a spear. Like, hello, what is Frostbite? Like, kick W.
This actually does change a whole lot. This is like almost a perfect hand you could have asked for.
Yeah, almost.
I mean, what else would you really want here? Like maybe another Dark Spear? Form-up, maybe?
Like, another Darken? No. I don't think you want another Darken Spear. I think you want a buff spell, yeah. A buff spell. Probably. You want a buff spell? You probably want Ranger Knight. Because, like, these Broadwings will be very good at controlling the board because they can't get frostbitten. But you need the Ranger Knight to actually apply pressure.
Not only that as well, but the thing with Scout, especially against, like, freezes, it's almost, it's kind of like tipping your toes into the word. Just, like, checking if it's okay to kind of jump in. And Scout is the main reason why that's good into like stuff like Frostbite, because you have a better understanding of the environment. And also, like, the Defector, like you're saying, does put pressure on, but one thing there is pressure here is these double Broadwings, and it's going to be really impactful to a point later on. And I think Prodigy taking this block makes a lot of sense, just because, you know, you're technically dwindling down the health, or your Ash to maybe be more in a surviving state.
Yeah, so I was going to actually comment on Vengevine's swing, where I think that like the swing might have been incorrect. So I understand the logic behind it, which is like, I want to keep my Broadwing healthy, but at the same time, I have these equipments to heal it back up. Two issues with that. Issue number one is that the breakpoint is still pretty significant. And the second issue is that if you want to fully heal it back up, you're spending a lot of mana, right? So it's probably a swing that I personally wouldn't have done, because I think I run into issues if I put the Broadwing down to how much HP was it? 2 HP if Prodigy blocked. But regardless, Prodigy doesn't take the block. Goes for the Trapper, which I also don't know if that's a great play, because the Yeti is like, it's a solid draw, but it's not insane. And we see the Ranger Knight, which I mentioned the Vengevine exactly needs. Vengevine is drawing like a god today. My god.
I mean, it would be something you need, but the only problem is like that Yeti is top deck, so you can't really do anything with that. Like you would have to go for that automatic swing with the Broadwing, and it doesn't feel as great. And like this Yeti just being a 1-mana, kill off your Broadwing is quite nice. I feel like sure, they have some play around here, and maybe they go for something like this, but it doesn't feel great. The Yeti now can kind of stick on the board and make things a lot more awkward, where you're going to slow down to the game for maybe finding some space to play your LeBlanc, to play your Ash, and get around these Broadwings somehow.
Yeah. No, like these Broadwings are definitely posing an issue because you can't actually interact with them as well as you want to. But it might still be fine anyway, right? Because
yeah, like you can impact with pressure here so well. Like looking at this board, it's like Vengevine is just like kind of stuck with taking a lot of damage and just losing one of these Broadwings.
Yeah, this Broadwing is gone, and controlling the board is going to be way harder. Like, yikes! Like, I'm worried. We like this is the matchup that Vengevine had to avoid, right? Like, it's doable when you have Broadwings and your opponent has like a slow start. Prodigy start was really good, and there's an Ash coming as well. I don't see this getting any better for Vengevine. Also, like, on stats, this is like a 25% for Aatrox. And do you know how bad a matchup has to be 25%? Tree versus Anivia was not a 25%. Like, for context.
What was Lee Sin versus Sion was at 25%, right? Or even worse, maybe?
I don't know. I didn't play back then, I think.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure it was. That was like probably one of the most polarizing matchups besides like maybe TK Riker into like something else. I'm kind of going blank here, but we see a Fishfly trying to go against one of the main threats with being the click attack unit of LeBlanc here, and like sure we're trying to do some justice here, but we do have bloody business, and it does come out. Single combat might be the only thing to really deal with this here, but it's not even in hand. LeBlanc is now also leveled, and we're talking about this being a 25% matchup, and we see why. Even with the best start in Vengevine's hand, they couldn't really do much. They're still down by 10 health here, and they're struggling to put even units on the board, with Prodigy just overwhelming them with a draw for 4 here. Wow, I don't want to score this game, but this is more than that. It's over already.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you gonna do here? You're gonna get open attacked on, and it's just lethal. Like, there's the scout attack coming. If you take all of this damage, you're dead. So just don't take all of this damage. Kick W. Like, yeah, just Prodigy is gonna swing here. Percent 11. You take this 11. You open attack. And if there is any single combat or something like that, you have the freeze.
You just have the freeze. Yeah, exactly. You just have the freeze, and that will be game here. But Vengevine, you kind of need to just like hopefully think that there is an out in circumstances like this. You are carrying your whole team here, but we know Prodigy will be taking it, and that I wouldn't say blast from the past, but this type of deck that almost escaped the meta because of the nerfs. Has found the home to try and get through it here, and we can just take that trade, and this open will be set up, and Prodigy will swing for lethal here to make it 1-0.
Yeah, that trade was really clean because now you can open and guarantee that the double single doesn't get there either, right? So yeah, like, just do it. If you want to develop, you can develop. I don't think it matters, but open is almost always lethal. You go for the develop anyway, and like, it doesn't matter if Vengevine plays Aatrox. This is not winnable.
I mean, we also have the Ice Bout. It's just like game for days. You have, a mirror image. There's nothing really that they can do here, and yeah, we're just kind of playing with our food. We can just now swing all the way through. Even if they play 2 units here, it doesn't do much. Wait, are we not? We actually need to play the Omen here, and then we have lethal.
Is it not lethal? Is the swing not lethal?
No, it's not actually. You need to play all the mirror.
The mirror mage works, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
You have to play this, otherwise it wasn't actually lethal, which is funny.
But Prodigy, man, why didn't you play mirror image on the assessor and just drew like 20 more cards? That would have been funnier, no?
Yeah. Prodigy giving us maybe a small heart attack. That's his chances with us pulling it over before it's over.
Missed opportunity, man. I'm actually so sad. I'm so depressed. Oh man, we could have drawn like 20 cards. Do you know what card gamers love? They love drawing cards, man. Except for Prodigy, he just likes killing his opponent apparently.
I don't think mid-range gamers like drawing cards. Actually, we're a bit biased. We're combo players, so we love drawing cards. But like, I think mid-range
I'm a combo player.
Yeah, you're a combo player now. You're at least some.
I see.
But like spell-oriented players, right? But like mid-range players, I think they hate. Like they want to have no cards in hand, and talking about cards in hand, we go to the Mulligan Sage, and it will be the second round here, and this is I would say a really nice hand for Prodigy because of these double scryings.
Yeah, so the double scrying is really nice because scrying is really, really key in this matchup because you need to use it as a response to like fish fight to protect your echo at times. More importantly, though, to protect your voices. So the way I would define this position is Prodigy has the tools to win the game. He just needs to like chain predicts and actually do the echo thing where you curve out, flip echo as soon as you can, and win the game from that position. If Vengevine identifies this interaction with scrying and fish fight, what he might do is play the spear on Broadwing and just let the Broadwing chill. And then whenever Prodigy develops Echo, you just have a fish fight that can't be scrying, right? It can be quicksanded, but quicksand is a lot more mana.
Yeah, like scrying is honestly the perfect card, especially with this hand for it to just like, procking out the Echo. Like, scrying is the perfect hand against Demacia unless they have the Broadwing, but you really now need to kind of play for that Dark Spear into fish fight, and that would be kind of your best way to get through, this Echo for being more, impactful for the game plan here. The only problem is like this Darkened Spear, it's tempting now to do like on other like value trades or even try and trade down now, and that then runs into like a Mystic or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very well explained like analysis of the position here. And do I like the swing with the tracker here? Because I think like Vengevine's idea is to, one, change the predict if you want to use scrying, two, get the scrying out. So I actually think like it makes a lot of sense. My bigger issue here is we are pulling this Chronomancer, so when we fish fight the Echo next turn and Prodigy has Mystic Shot, we're quite sad.
The only and we do actually see the Mystic Shot from the predictor.
If this interaction happens, really, I'm a genius.
It's like, this is so great because we lose out on this like capability to potentially, put Echo, but the Mystic.
Yes, do it, Vengevine. Come on,
it's so tempting too. Like,
play the fight.
You just had to like be patient. Like, we didn't really need a sling. Like, I understand the takeaway from like, dwindling down the units because it makes Chrono Break not as great. But
exactly,
you might have really wished to just like deal with this here. But Prodigy now has any capabilities to do anything he wants here and just flip this Echo, especially.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know, man. I feel like Vengevine had the way to win this game, and it's gone out of the window here. Well, he can still win this game, but I think like it was so secure. I felt like it was so secure. If you just keep the Broadwing back, and you guarantee that the Echo is gone when it's played on turn 4, and then the Echo gets flipped, but this time trick chaining with 0 mana cards and just generating so much value, eventually finding cards that will win you the game, like Chrono Break, like Quicksand. There's already a Voices in Prodigy's hand. This position gets a lot sussier all of a sudden.
Yeah. And it's like, the main reason why Echo decks are so good into Demacia is because of Chrono Break. And like,
yes, absolutely, yes.
Like, you have Chrono Break and the Scrying Sands like Quicksand, they're your main ways to kind of win. And if you can't, stop the Echo from being like explosive as possible, or, going on with a Chrono Break with a revive into like an Echo Chrono Break, it gets super scary. And we just have to deal with the Echo. And now, losing on that potential to do so means, sure, okay, you've gone for this other out where you might just try and push through, put as much pressure as possible. But if they have a Chrono Break, you just gone. And if not, they play Voices here, and you can't even really swing.
Yeah, wow. And Vengevine says, I'm going to go for it, and this is going to be backbreaking, right? Like, typically, as you said, Echo has tools that are very good into Demacia. Usually, Aatrox is not that good of a matchup for Echo because of a card like Fish Fight. But we saw Vengevine make a small misstep there that is very easy to make because it's a positive free trade, right? Like, it's not something that doesn't make sense, especially because of the point you mentioned about devaluing Chrono Break in the long run. But here, you look at this position and you're like, why did you swing the turn? Why did you swing on your last token? Like, this is just a very bad position, because the Fish Fight, which is the best card in the matchup, is all of a sudden doing nothing. You Mystic the Broadwing, maybe you double Mystic it because it avoids it avoids the Broadwing from being healed up again or whatever, and then the game is just out of control for Prodigy, for Vengevine.
I can see why you would double Mystic, but I think the one Mystic's fine. You have it also on like, you have it also on the Fleet Feather as well, and you have the Scrying. Like, there's a lot of things where you can't really do much. Like,
yeah, like, is Vengevine going for the Broadwing, pull the Echo here?
If that's the case, then yeah, you have that other Mystic, and then it's just like, oh, okay.
now
they actually just get a time trick.
Okay, yeah, we're pulling the drop border instead. That makes sense. Because if you pull the Echo into a Quicksand or into a Mystic, it's just like pack it up from there, from that position, right? Yeah, okay, we see on the side of this game that Bass Pro Shops won 3-0 against Tiki Geo. So Bass Pro Shops moves on to the top 8. Also, another update: RPG 6-0 chip. So they also move on to the top 8.
Yeah, the seasonal champions versus seasonal champions of Aegis, and I mean, like, we're pretty biased. We're always biased, but we thought RPG would have won that. I'm pretty sure. We saw the pick'ems, and I'm glad that they take it. Thought it was going to be a free one, but just absolutely clean sweep them, and sadly Chip won't get it here. But getting back into this game is pretty interesting now. We've got the last breath to kind of do something, but otherwise, what's really going on here? We're just like buying some time and just sitting on this like chance to find a Chrono Break.
Yeah, I mean, like, Prodigy's very happy to just play the game slow now. He can just like say, yo, Vengevine, come at me. You have units that can't die, because if they die, I get to draw cards because my Echo blocks, and then I get to rally on you and I win. Still no Chrono Break just yet, but I can't help but think, but with like the Scrying, the Ancient Prep, the 2 Clocklings, and an additional predict that he might go for here off of this 0 cost time trick, or even if you skip, it's very, very likely that you hit Chrono Break at some point, yeah?
Yeah, and it's like Prodigy isn't even in a rush to find this Chrono Break either. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
All your units.
Yeah.
Like, we don't find it, but it's fine. Like, we have the Mystic for all the Broadwing, and we also have the Scrying Sand, so you're like kind of chilling. And Vengevine does find the Aegis here that might be
that
like
draws
somewhat
Aatrox.
okay.
It draws Aatrox. It draws
Aatrox. I mean, this is like slightly better now because you can actually kill off the Echo with your tracker, you don't get a nice swing through with the Broadwing and can't kill the voices, at the same time. But there is something here to kind of play for. Even though it's not great playing for, our best chances is hoping we can kill the Echo off and them not finding Chrono Break forever.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, but this is a trap you're running into. This is not what you want to play for. The only thing you would be scared of is now even a simple scrying, and this will come out. Don't even need a Mystic either. Keeping those for the back end here, this Predict won't do much, but one thing that is doing a lot is just keeping this Voices alive, and we're just chilling. Bowser's open now to be even more destructive with this Cockling being played, and we find the Chrono Break, just an insurance policy at the least.
Yeah, as you said, this yes, maybe Vengevine could be playing better here, but also it's such chokehold. No line actually feels great. It almost feels like you need to take a risk and you need to hope that it pays off. It's just which risk are you choosing? And no matter what you do, it is a risk at the end of the day. There's no universe where you are in a position where you are likelier to win here. You just need to hope that Prodigy doesn't have the answers. And as long as Prodigy represents Chrono Break, it's going to be really hard. Here with the Chrono Break in his hand, all that's going to happen is he's going to swing next turn. Vengevine is going to have to block in some capacity because there's going to be a lethal presented, and there's going to be a Chrono Break that comes down. And it's just going to wrap up the game.
And now that we, do finally find that Chrono Break, and you can just be really reckless. There is not really anything you have to do just besides attacking, and you can probably find another one. There's so much stuff here, and Prodigy might should readjust these attacking here. It's really important to actually have Echo first, especially since Clockling doesn't actually work now. But Clockling probably won't die. But I would maybe switch around the Bakai. There's small reasons why this would matter. But nonetheless, this is still looking great for Prodigy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Echo should usually go first. It's just a good habit to have. I didn't know the Clockling bug got fixed already, but it's good to hear that it got fixed. Prodigy will tell you that a certain team had abused that bug to beat them in a money match, but that's not true. Anyway, back to the game. So the blocks come in. Vengevine knows what the risk is here, and it's Chrono Break, and he just can't do anything about it. Right?
And if you could do anything about it, you just have these elusives. Let's say somehow you could get back onto this board, you have elusive into double Mystic, and then you revive your voices anyway. So this is far beyond over, and Vengevine has to play it out, but we will see this Chrono Break being played and gonna reset the board. Good thing is when you break your bones, Echo just says, "Hey, I'm gonna technically revive them and revive all my units," and we will see that here just slowly being played out for the victory of Prodigy.
Yeah, Echo's just gonna be "I'll do it again," It is very in line with what the card is thematically doing. Let's see. So when the Chrono Break comes down, you press OK, and then you condemn the voices. Do you survive? No, because of double.
Because you have double voices. You have double Clockling, and you can double Clockling into double Mystic. There is literally no way you can win here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If there was 8 Trox plus condemn mana, maybe you survive. But yeah. Oh, and we hit drop. Wait,
okay,
drop board.
We have another Chrono Break. Okay, it doesn't none of this matters yet.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the voices doesn't come back anymore, right? Because voices died last.
Yeah, and then your Echo is so close from not being. Is he killing off his own unit here? This is cool.
Does that work? Does that work?
It should do, because Bakai would be last here. So yeah, it does work.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a cute line. Yeah.
Sure, it's not. But, okay, so why I was talking about Echo should be always first is because of this reason of having double Chrono Break. it doesn't matter, but like just from the idea of min-maxing where there was a point, it's somewhat, important. And Prodigy, though, sort of like cool things here, killing off their Bakai to get back those voices, and Benjamin, a bit memorized, going, what the heck, what am I doing? Just has to kind of sit here and not do much. Like, if you had maybe Defector online, it could have been something with a tumble line to just put pressure, but man, this is pressure nonetheless from Prodigy, and we're trying to do something here.
I thought for a second that Benjamin was gonna play Anaka, dude. I thought there was an Anaka coming up for a second.
Like, I'd do it. I always want to see Anaka online, but yeah, we're really taking our time, eh? We don't want to do any potential for doing anything.
Oh, and the third corner break.
We just get 3 corner breaks.
This is why people hate this deck, right? This is why they despise this deck. It's because
Prodigy is literally the Marty McFly of Runeterra. Literally just time traveling for days. Holy moly!
I've seen people call Prodigy many things. That is not one of them, but it makes sense. What a beautiful game, man.
You're not even technically winning here with that one chrono break, and you've made it to a point where this double chrono break with the worst potential way of like reviving, because how you did it is still going to win you game. So he unintentionally made this such a horrific BM to Vengevine that it makes things so much more funnier here.
God, Vengevine is Ezreal sweat emoting when Prodigy has like 3 different cards that win the game here.
Don't miss the game. Oh my goodness.
Man, what is Prodigy doing, man? Game 1, he didn't play the mirror image on the assessor to draw 20 cards, and now he played Mystic Shot instead of Chrono Break. Man, what a boring guy, man. Man. I'm so angry. I'm actually so angry as a caster.
Well, I guess we got another name for him. No Nonsense Prodigy. And that's what we have. No Nonsense Prodigy has taken it to be slightly up here and making it 2-1. It was slightly slow, but overall, like, besides, them taking their time, it was kind of fast. Like, it was a clean 2-0. Sure, they took a bit of time to get there, and Prodigy knew exactly what to do and takes it. Show why Ashland Blunt was a great pick and just absolutely demoralized Aatrox for Vengevine thinking it was a good bring here, and sadly it was not.
Just think about like how different this game goes when that fish fight resolves on Echo, by the way. Just think about that. It goes extremely differently, which just really points to like how sometimes you can make a play that doesn't look wrong, but then a couple of turns later you realize, I should have just like held back my Broadwing, played the fish fight, and I'm way happier in this position. But it happens, and it's a very hard thing to spot, especially in like when you're actually playing. It's like one of these things that you need to know going into the game, like the macro game plan. You need to know it going into the game. Actually figuring out in the game is really hard. So credits to Vengevine. He played well. He had a really good set against Tankbuster. This was also a really good set, but in the other direction, we saw Prodigy flex on his opponent twice, and it was really fun. We will be going to a break, and we will be coming back with Prodigy versus Dragon Guy Who Died, which is Darkness Valley's last player. So, be back soon.
welcome everybody. We are into the maybe the last round. It could be potentially, but we are into the round of Prodigy versus Dragon Who Died, and it's going to be a match. Prodigy showed that the picks he brought definitely did well into Vengevine, and now Dragon hasn't really played. Well, he can't really play, that is, but he is the last one up, and there's a couple of reasons why, you have a person playing last. It's either because they might be the one who will sweep it for them, or that their lineup just didn't fit in the first place against the players. So hopefully for VLLY's sake, it is actually, their best all-rounded lineup, and they kept it there for the surprise against MRT. But if they do get through Prodigy, they also have a person who is maybe one of the most reliable in playoffs, Kevil. So definitely an uphill battle right now.
Yeah, I guess today we will find out if Dragon Guy Who Died is Dragon Guy Who Lived. You know what I mean? Apologies to the viewers for having to stand through that joke. Anyway, moving on. Let's look at the deck. So Dragon is actually playing Jax Ornn, which is a deck that was pretty popular when all of the reverts happened. Well, not the reverts, all of the buffs happened to the Forge package in Freljord. And then Hearth Bloodbender, the best card of the deck, got rotated. And the deck fell off, and also a little bit of power creep happened. Decks that were pretty favored into Jax Ornn started resurfacing. So the deck fell out of popularity, but we see Dragon picking it up again. I'm gonna assume the reason is because of Prodigy, because Prodigy is a Demacia guy, and you want to play decks that beat Demacia, and Jax Ornn beats Demacia. So I think that was the plan.
Yeah, I actually really like this spring. It really does just really go into that idea of hey, who am I versing? It's a majority of players who kind of very Demacian heavy and mid-range heavy game plans, and I'm going to try and exploit onto that. One thing though is the Unforgiving Cold is interesting. I'm thinking if there is any reason why we're playing Unforgiving under Hearthstones, and it would be on Spell Shield reasons, but I'm pretty sure there isn't much Spell Shield going on besides Samira Panth.
I was actually playing this deck earlier today, and I had Unforgiving Colds in my hand, and my opponent had Owl Cats on their field, and I wanted to cry. It was actually really problematic, because a freeze going twice on a 1-mana 3/1 Spell Shield is not a good thing.
So it's actually just more of liability than anything. It's weird to say why we would be running this instead of Hearthstones. Maybe it's just an oversight of going, hey, I'm going to control F onto all my Weapon Master stuff, and I see the synergistic card. But yeah, it's really weird. I think the deck is somewhat strong. It definitely has some capabilities, but looking at these spells, it might be somewhat questionable, especially with this Wild Call Ferocity just randomly in here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Wild Claw's Ferocity, especially when this deck was a little more popular. But nowadays, it's a little harder to evaluate considering people have more efficient removal and more ways to punish your mana. Because back when this deck was good, a lot of the mana was a lot clunkier. And so spamming 6 mana on unit you already had on the board to turn into a bigger threat was actually something that was semi-reliable and didn't get that punished. But now we live in a prize fight meta. There's a bunch of Vengeance decks running around, and Quicksand. Quicksand is very good at denying Overwhelm and evasive keywords like that. So we'll see how it goes. We move on to the next deck. And it's... we haven't seen this deck all day. I just realized. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Targon's Valley and MRT, for having me sit through 3 sets without having to cast this deck. Thank you so much.
But we are, looking at the second... It's actually really interesting because we've got Inferno and Pool Shark, and it's usually either one or the other. And more of lately, people are just going straight onto the Pool Shark build.
Yeah, we saw the Pool Shark fall into favor. People playing 3. We saw people cut it down to 2. We saw people cut it down to 1. And then we saw it getting fully cut. And it had 0 Inferno, 0 Pool Shark, and then we saw people add back 1 Inferno, and then they added back another Inferno, and then they went back to 3 Inferno, and then they went down again. So it's been fluctuating a lot. all you need to know is that what hasn't been fluctuating is the 3 copies of Powder Pandemonium. Because this deck is not that good anymore when it doesn't draw that card. But when it does, it's extremely oppressive.
Yeah, I really, looking at this version, sometimes people don't run Swindle anymore. They are, like I was saying, a bit iffy on the Infernos and the Push-Ups, but I actually do really like this list. There's just a lot of potential pressure early on to just, like, run away with the game, and then, like, hey, you got these Pandemoniums, you find them with one of your drawers, and it could be potentially game. And if it's not, you find another one, and then it is really game after that. So I really like this, especially kind of leading up into Prodigy's lineup.
Yeah, this looks like the guy who was here to beat Prodigy. And yeah, we see it with the third deck, Nasus. This is another deck that, in theory, should be beating most of what Prodigy is bringing. So yeah, this is the guy who was, like, they decided to bring a guy to beat Prodigy, and it's Dragon. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, this is just like a lineup that beats 3 Demacia decks. Prodigy didn't exactly bring that. He brought Echo and Ash, but they have similar tables to Demacia decks. So yeah. It's I think I forgot what Prodigy's third deck was, but if what was it?
Echo, Ash, and I'm blanking here. I was so confident.
Nasus. Yeah, so and if Dragon bans Nasus and plays into Ash and Echo, that's a pretty good position to be in, I think.
And you're saying Dragon is the guy to beat Prodigy. So I wonder if we're gonna see if he's called Dragon the guy who lived, or the Dragon the guy who's supposed to beat Prodigy. But the one thing is, like, Prodigy was actually, being a bit expecting the Nasus here, and that's why the Aftershocks are in the Echo Jinx, and a reason why Prodigy kind of gets over a lot of people when they try and target the decks that, he might be playing, and this is the main reason why Prodigy might feel comfortable against Dragon right now, especially with these Aftershocks. Bit weird, but they could run a long way against Nasus and might help your bans out, especially if you're scared of the Samira or Jackson.
So, like, I understand the, like, whole Aftershock is good against Nasus thing, but I don't know if Echo is losing to Nasus because of vaults. Like, you Aftershock vaults, and obviously that's a good thing. Like, it's not a bad thing because it cuts off engine. But, like, I feel like it might be similar to how when, like, Thralls wasn't in the meta, people said that, like, Aftershock beat Thralls, when that wasn't really the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand. I think, like, because you do run into, like, even the Rockbear being a 5/5, it just, the thing is, though, it does slow down time. That even though, sure, this Vaults isn't, like, now absolutely power spiking into your Nasus and, like, Rekindlers, it gives you a tiny bit of time to, like, push through with this Echo to a point where, like, yeah, maybe I can't get through the Rockbear, but, like, I have some chance to kind of do some avenues of, like, a way to win. And we see the ban here, and it is actually getting rid of the Ash LeBlanc, which I'm kind of surprised in, but maybe Dragon is just so comfortable into the Nasus and Echo Jinx.
No, I think the reason why you banned Ash here is because because of, like, I'm not too familiar about Jax Orn's matchup tables, but I would assume that the reason here is that Jax Orn is better into Nasus than it is into Ash LeBlanc. And if that's true, then this ban makes sense, because you need to be protecting your Jax Orn, because it's the deck that, like, you're gonna have to get through. You already know that, like, Nasus is gonna be able to win. If we see a Nasus mirror, I'm gonna scream. So please, somebody queue not Nasus, please.
What is the mirror like? Just find Vaults and then you're happy?
Yeah, I think Dragon has a Shadow Isle Stealthstone in his list. So there's, like, Crumble, I guess, but, like, Crumble is 5 mana, Vaults is 4 mana, so, like, it's not that good.
Right.
Well, Crumble is 4, but, like, Shadow Isle Stealthstone plus Crumble is 5 mana. So yeah.
And I feel like the Samira ban was pretty comfortable as well, right? Like, seeing that straight away just seemed like that was the pick to kind of get off of the board and just like focus into maybe this Jax or Nessus. I can't really see a world where you maybe keep the Samira up. It just feels too explosive to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, the thing is that, like, if you leave up Samira Fizz and you like don't hit Echo into Samira Fizz, you just start 0-1. So the ban makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And even like Echo versus Samira Fizz is not a matchup that's like, it's favored for Echo, but it's not like reliably favored. It's like as favored as you can get against Fizz Samira, but Fizz Samira just has the ability to win even against the bad matchups because of how powerful the deck is on a raw basis, right? So yeah, we'll see how it goes. This is going to be very much about Nasus is chilling for both players, and then like Jack Sorn is not chilling and Echo is not chilling. But I think Echo is not chilling more than Jax Orn. I think Dragon is in a slightly better spot here, but Echo can pull big games out of its bottom bottom positions. Smile
from its glutes.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Annie.
Thanks. Hey, I'm very PG. I'm a PG respectable man, and I know all these ways of getting around certain words. And glutes is a great word. You know, if you just, that's the thing. Like glutes sound kind of funny. I don't know. It's like gluten, but you just
it does sound kind of funny. Yes, I agree. I agree.
But we are waiting for this game now, and probably the last thing you want me to talk about is glutes, and rather get into the gameplay. But
absolutely. Wait, the bans are off the screen. Hold on. Did they change the bans?
No, there's no shot. So it is just a visual. But yeah, it is just a visual here. We're getting production kind of just like telling us that there's some behind the scenes and some person is pulling a certain strings. You pull down the curtain, and the person behind production doing this is actually just, you know, I don't know, Headmaster Red. You know, you go to Wizard of Oz land and you wanted to be, you know, surprised by a wizard, but it was just, you know, Red all along. And this is why we're seeing these visual things so, I don't know, going on and off. And
I love garbage time when we're casting, because I just let you do whatever you want, and you start going on tangents. It's beautiful. It's actually.
And I don't know. I need to try and find something. Like the first thing that came into my head was Wizard of Oz when I was talking about behind the curtain. Like, you know, like what else do I talk about?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. All right.
Okay,
sounds like we're heading into the game soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you like. Okay, so there is a brief amount of like nothingness happening, and you might be wondering why is that? And that's because we're listening to production. And Hurst was literally just telling me, which is our production manager. He was telling me, hey, your tangents are so bad, we need to go to break because I don't want people to actually get off the stream. But then he just said, oh, we're going to get into it. And I want to say we are into it now, and we are. And
okay.
You see the game.
Let's go. Okay, well, okay. There's an aftershock, but there's no vaults. I see.
Oh, the typical tech problem, right? I'm gonna have the tech card in hand, and Volts is just never gonna be here, and I'm just gonna win for like playing, you know, decent mid range cards.
Yeah, this ancient prep is on countdown 0, GigaChad. I don't actually know if that means that I think that means that the ancient prep's already popped off. So I think Prodigy has board space that like looks tight. Oh, never mind.
No, it was just played.
It's fixed itself. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so let's look at these hands. So there is a lot of expensive cards in Dragon's hand, and there is an Echo and a Voices in Prodigy's hand. So I feel like I know whose shows I want to be in this position.
And I really like that pass from Dragon as well, because you have the Vengeance up, and you're just kind of just testing the waters with like, okay, I'm going to see if they're going to play Echo here, and if they do, I'm just going to absolutely, you know, a Vengeance out of the way. And if they don't, then I actually have, this rock bear that can kind of, when procs, it mitigates a lot of potential damage to get through.
Yeah. Do you aftershock this landmark? Probably not, right?
Okay, so like maybe you do it next turn.
Yeah.
Maybe you could like play time trick here, but I think you do it next turn because you have an understanding if they have vaults. Because I feel like they probably will vaults next turn, and there's no reason that they will do this turn.
I think that assessment makes sense. And yeah, we see the pass here. Not playing the time trick, I think it's the idea behind it is you wanted to time trick after the chrono breaks on in your deck. Yeah, because this echo's already flipped. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And one thing is like with Echo as well is you don't actually have to play for Echo. You just need to make sure it's leveled, because when you have voices in hand as well, you can just like win through that. Voices is such a strong card that it kind of gets through here, and it will put on a lot of pressure. But Dragon now has quite a nice amount of just mana available. Gets the Vengeance out with this Chronomancer and gonna be getting this Rock Bear coming out in the next following turn with a Nasus maybe even squeaking through.
So, like, yeah, you have an understanding of your opponent not having vaults, but you also saw them play a predict, so you don't actually want to aftershock because they might have predicted the vaults, right? So it makes sense to hold it back, play the time trick, and the time trick doesn't hit Chrono Break, but it's not awful of a position. It's not that awful of a position to be in if you're a Prodigy. Also, we have another update. Big Fish Gaming Marlon has won against Team Random Object Names 3-1, so they will be moving on to the top 8.
I don't want to say I called it, but that was my pick'ems.
Oh wow! Actually, that's impressive. That's impressive. A lot of people didn't back Big Fish Gaming Marlon for that one.
I don't want to. Yeah, I think the problem with Tron is they run into a King of the Hill format like this is where they might overthink it to themselves when they try and almost like get into this idea of like, hey, I'm gonna prep and be decent. That they just forget so much more other stuff, and they have like this idea of like what might be good and like their own thoughts of like what could be good against the meta, and it just absolutely falls apart. And that's probably what happened. And one thing that is falling apart is literally a crumble away from that voices, and it's off the board, which is kind of scary to see. But Prodigy does have the Jinx in hand.
Yeah, I want to keep coming. I want to go back to this game, but one more thing about the Big Fish Gaming Marlon team. They have Goofy, and Goofy is my hero, so I'm super happy for that guy. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, so this Jinx is... This is really funny. Dragon didn't draw vaults, and there's a Jinx in Prodigy's hand, and he can't flip it because of these aftershocks.
And then you just drew another one as well. This is so rough. This is like the worst thing you want to see about these set cards. They were going to have some justice here, but now all they are is just a clunky mess.
I mean, I called it, right? It's like saying Aftershock beats Thralls when it just doesn't. like,
right, but you actually get to play Aftershock, because like they never have anything else to do. And wow, Prodigy just throws out the Aftershock. Understanding why, but
I mean, you have to.
I really do like it on the Nasus, yeah.
You have to, but like here, what happens? A Dragon plays Bonk, and anything gets met by Deny.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't even like, I don't know, Aftershock and like get excited. You don't have that availability to, and yep, that's where it loses. The Jinx now will get off the board, and there is some hope. Like we might be taking a lot of damage here, but we might have to like, we could Jinx into Clockling here and find Chrono Break. That is actually like a crazy line, and we do find the Chrono Break, and like. Oh, is it even crazy to actually just go for that Jinx first? I guess it doesn't matter because you can play it now, but you do take a lot more damage here.
Yeah, that's a weird spot to be in because the Fearsome keyword is quite good against Echo.
Yeah, and they still have the Deny as well, but on the idea of Prodigy, going for the line of like trying to survive here, that might be the way to do it. And wow, this Nasus really is just impacting as much as possible, and even though it doesn't hit lethal here, this Chrono Break will maybe try and get back into the game to do anything is just going to get shut down by the Deny, and really might not just do it for them.
Yeah, this is quite a rough spot to be in, and we see what happens when, as you said, like when you have a tech card and it doesn't line up the way you want it to. I guarantee you that, like, if there was like a third Feral Prescience instead of one of these Aftershocks, this game would have been maybe not winning, but it would have been smoother for Prodigy, right? But like also, there is an element of hindsight to saying something like that. It's not always that the mistake was made, as we are implying. But yeah, there is an element of risk assessment involved when you're playing tech cards like this. And this position is quite rough to be in because this Nasus is clocking you, and it's a really rough position to be in when you are on Prodigy's side of the board right now.
Yeah, I mean, there is actually a way to win here, and it's like hoping they don't Vengeance your Jinx, and you have another Chrono Break as a top deck, and you can kind of get back into the game state that way.
You know the issue with that? The issue with that is that you're at 20 HP as Dragon, so you're not like the Jinx isn't actually closing the game. It's like you need to get your opponent to 0, and they're at 19, and that's like going to require a lot of time. And I don't know if you have that amount of time when Nasus is flipped already. We see the quicksand and we see the aftershock. That's gonna get you're gonna Prodigy's gonna rocket, Dragon's gonna vengeance, and then Dragon's gonna open attack with the Nasus. And there's like maybe one quicksand in Prodigy's deck that stops that from killing him on the spot. So maybe you develop, but like you get the general gist of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I still think this is the correct play though, because you need 2 draws here, and like we just can't respect Vengeance at all.
Absolutely, no. This is a position where Prodigy can't, like, you cannot pretend that Dragon has cards. You can't.
Yeah. And like we've seen the one Vengeance already. Like they've had a lot of all this stuff that might be a problem, like the rights, the Vengeance. It could be a safe assessment to say that they actually don't have any of these, but Dragon does have it, and there's only one card that can kind of keep you in this game here, and it's 2 of that quicksand. And I don't even know if we run double, but if we do, that would be the top deck here, and sadly it isn't. This Nasus will be the lethal decider, but Prodigy, no nonsense as he is, just surrenders, say it straight away, and gets into the next game here.
Yeah, so Prodigy is on the back foot, and we kind of expected this going into the set, right? Dragon had the lineup that was very clearly intentionally trying to target what Prodigy is about to do, and Nasus got to play against Echo, so Nasus got the win. Now Prodigy is only goal is to 2-0 Jaxorn, which is definitely like the weak link in Dragon's lineup, I would say. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, like, man, like looking at power, I feel like Jaxorn is the complete opposite of what you would call power. It looks weak, Like every time I see that deck, it just doesn't feel like I'm scared of anything. And Prodigy has something that's probably the opposite of weak, something that might be one of the strongest just power plays in the game, and that is Nasus. And we kind of saw why Nasus is so strong just from the perspective of Dragon.
Yeah, Nasus is quite a good card, and it's like really hard to say that, but because Nasus is usually not a good card, but when it is, it's like really, really, really strong. Like, you don't actually realize how -1 attack on everything really matters so much until Nasus flips on you. It's like really, really, really annoying to play against.
It's also weird how impactful that +1/+1 buff on Nasus is because of ults. Because a lot of the time, you don't actually slay anything, and you really want it to be like a 4/4 rather than a 3/3, and it actually does, change the game a lot. And it's just a really small, funny takeaway to, talk about. But here is the Soul Harvest, and it does cleanly get through. Sure, you do have another Jax, but does bide some time for Prodigy right now.
Yeah, so the Jaxorn deck cares a lot about applying early pressure, not because of the damage that it does to your opponent's Nexus, but more so because you need to flip your champions. If you don't flip your champions, this deck is egregiously slow. So I don't even know how I feel about this Jax here. I feel like maybe playing Combat Cook was better, because here, like this happens and you're not too happy. Yeah, I think I would have liked the combat cook a little bit more because it also means you get to keep the jacks back until it flips, and then you get to play it when it's flipped. And then when you play it when it's flipped, it's more of a threat. Regardless, we do see the spear come down and the attack going through, and the spear proc is actually quite good in this matchup because you need to go big because the Nasus deck is going to be able to match you. And yeah, Apprentice is a pretty good draw. The combat cook is going to be quite big. Yeah, it's not a bad spot, but also probably just predicted into a Quietus. So if you go all in on the combat cook weapon, it's going to be pretty rough to deal with.
Yeah, like, this is a decent spot for Dragon, definitely. Like, just looking at Prodigy's hand, it's like, well, it's not that great. Like, we might even need to, like, sack our Nasus just to get value with this Rekindler. Like, there's so much weird stuff, and you need to kind of be ambitious here as well. And this Haste Spike, even though it will get, not as much value due to the Send Help card, it does
Spell shield.
find that spell shield and that allows Nasus to stick onto the board as much as you want, and I don't even know if that's great. I mean, I guess we can kind of trade through onto something and then maybe be alright that way, but...
Yo, Annie, I have good news.
What's your good news?
Team Space Poggers went 3-1 against ABG Noxus.
Exactly. That's what I want to hear. Like, just quickly, 11 damage straight to the Dome of Prodigy, and that's a lot. But Team Space Poggers, I feel like, got somewhat disrespected in the pick'ems. Like, I don't think you understand that they've hit playoffs almost every time, and not only that, but they have an understanding of the format. And you look at ABG Noxus, they brought basically two of the same lineups, and that costed them. That's why Team Space Poggers went 3-1, and we're getting some crazy value out of the sharesies here and making
Yeah, the shares is beautiful. I didn't even see this. I didn't even see this line. Yeah. This makes so much sense. Wow, this is great. I don't know if Dragon is like in a winning position here. He might still not be. Oh wow, that
Wow. That is insane here.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and then Nasus swings here and just take the damage. And what is the activation condition on Rampaging Bakai? I forgot.
It's something to do about slaying. Yeah, you have to actually slay 4 times, and like you really want that to happen, but it's not proc yet. So you've just got this random unit out, and this fish fight. Honestly, you might have to write a negation here, because if this gets through, you're actually just like pushing so much more damage, and Prodigy agrees, has to right here to try and stick onto the board.
That is like the saddest deny I've ever seen, dude. And yeah, you just play the Light of Acacia. You just play the Light of Acacia on the combat cook. And have you heard of Flame Chompers?
I have.
Like, do you just? I feel like you play Intrinsic Lure at first. Yeah, I feel like you play Intrinsic Lure first.
Draw first is the most sensible thing you can do in the card. Wow! The ferocity will be super ferocious here. Absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure that would be so beautiful if we topped that instead to work with the lure, but this is still kind of decent.
Wait, yeah, you pull this and you play the. Where do you play it? Yeah, you play it on this. Yeah,
it should be lethal here, actually.
Yeah,
because you have to block with a Nasus that pushes 1 damage through and then blocks onto the Castaways, means that this is lethal. That's insane. This has been a back-to-back-to-back 2-0. Just changing it up. Dragon looks like he does live and makes it through to the next round, and it's Prodigy. Wait, hold on.
Is there a line here? No, right? Yeah. No. Wait,
no,
what?
There is. He's done.
Oh, there is. Whoa! Wait a minute. Wow! Wait, hold on. Yeah, Prodigy survives here.
Changes everything.
Yeah, Prodigy
Dragon is living, but there's a chance to die.
Yeah, so he plays Rekindler, and then Dragon plays Anaka.
Wow, this actually changes so much now.
No. It changes a little bit, but I think it's still
But you
okay
get to
because
swing.
yeah, but you take this. Sorry. You take this. You play fish fight on one of the units. It should still be okay.
Okay, yeah. You would have to top deck Vengeance here.
No, because because Anaka gets a unit.
right.
Anaka gets a unit, right? So it doesn't matter what you top deck. Yeah, you just develop because
Right.
we don't.
Oh, wow. You get the Anaka here.
Oh my god, I love this game, man. Oh.
Oriole comes out, and even though a bit of a preemptive thought of, Dragon winning that with, a chance of survival from Prodigy, finding a line that we forgot about, that still didn't matter, and Dragon, with that Anaka, does it in glorious fashion, and does it with a swarm of them too, and takes the win, tying it up to a closer set than we thought.
Yeah, we're going the distance. On one hand, I'm really happy we picked this match to watch, but at the same time, I am getting tired, man. Help me out here. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the fifth set of the series to go through, because Dragon Guy Who Lived is going to be up next against Kever 2-4, who is the guy. People have said this is the guy, and also he's the one who has made the side bet against Stolen Conch. So this side bet is now on his hands. It's whether he wins the set against the Dragon or he does not. Will be really exciting to watch, and this has been a blast. Like, bro, that Anaka into Anaka is like, oh, beautiful. What a way to end the set. What a way. I'm so happy to have seen that.
Yeah, and
but yeah.
At least Dragon also cares about BM2. We saw that promo, which I feel like is just so great because Prodigy, he isn't even giving any of that to us. We're just like, man, Prodigy can do that crazy BM play, and he's like, nah, no nonsense at all. So I'm kind of happy that Dragon ended it off with a bit of BM.
Yeah, and let's see how the last set goes. But for now, we're going to go to a break, wait for the two players to come back. But yeah, we'll be back soon with Kever versus Dragon to call it a day. So see you guys.
And every time I close my eyes, a little less of you remains. I know you're slipping further from me now. Am I too far away?
welcome everybody. We are into the final game for the set and for the day today. It will be Navori, the person who tries to pull the last hopes back into it, and they will be facing Dragon now against, MRT versus VLLY. And what a few games it has been. They've all been 2-0s, but even though they've been 2-0s, they've been really, really insane games today.
Yeah. People say very often that LOR is really hard to watch. After watching these games, I don't know how you can have that take. Like, it's been so many flashy finishes and so much just explosive things happening, like Anaka into Anaka, like drawing all 3 copies of your Chrono Break, like all of that kind of stuff. Top decking Kaisa exactly when you needed her. If you draw her 1 turn later, you lose the game on the spot. We've seen some wild things, and yeah, we go the distance. We're gonna be watching Dragon Guy who died, who just took away Prodigy, play against Kever 2-4. So let's go to the text.
And we do have something that's, quite admired by, the Mastering Runeterra team. Margin Bay has been playing a lot, and this is a really interesting deck. If you don't know it or haven't seen it before, it is Samira's Seraphine, and this deck kind of beats almost everything, it feels like. You have, these control tools that kind of be decent against aggro. Then you have this really good type of ways to deal with mid-range with these 3 disintegrates, and then your later game is just like, your Bar, your Seraphine, and your Plaza Guardians, and you can do some insane stuff where it turns oddly into a weird combo deck, because you can just go Samira, Plaza Guardian, have Seraphine on the board as well, and you play like 12 spells in a turn where you can rally twice, and you just go, hey, I've just kind of won here, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is classic spell player bait, right? It looks like a deck that has a lot of options, so it suddenly has no bad matchups. Obviously, it's not true. This deck doesn't have no bad matchups. It has some bad matchups, but it's a deck that's pretty powerful. It does a good thing, and it has Samira in it. So a Samira deck can't be bad because it just has Samira, man. That's it.
I also do like the Pursuit of Perfection, even though it might feel a bit clunky at times. Just having that as a backup is quite nice, because there might be times where you might not be able to stick a Samira or Seraphine together, where you could go for a Pursuit and your hand might all just be reactivity, and that might be the game plan you kind of want to go for. So it might look a bit weird, but I do actually really like it in this list, and knowing Kevo certain hit cards like this or certain cards to be added, there's a reason for it, and I'm excited to see if it will pay off.
Yeah, moving on. Let's go to the next deck, because I don't want to talk about Seraphine piles. Oh god, this is not a Seraphine pile. Can we go to the next deck? Never mind. No, Annie, you can talk about this.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. I actually like that Kevo has brought the PNZ version. A lot of people, including Kevo, has been playing Targon recently, but the main reason why this is being played a bit more is because you're better into Samira Fizz a lot. And you're not actually running any real 1-drops, which can be a bit of a worry. The Hex deck, the Acorns are actually quite nice against Samira. Same with Forges. You're not really running any of that, and you're going for more of the value type cards like Shadow Assassin and Financier. But relatively, you can, get there against it. And one thing I also really like is the Will of Ionia and Hex Obliterator, just helping those matchups against Ionia, like Alali Swain especially as well, or Alali Jarvan. So a really well thought out list just in case to hit any certain matchup.
Yeah, I'm super happy we're not playing 3 formula 3 placer bets, because we just play these cards on turn 4 and we lose the game on the spot. So it's Karma set. You all know this deck from last season. It exists now. It apparently has a good Samira Fizz matchup. It has a good Nasus matchup. It made it resurface. People didn't play Caustic. People didn't realize that Caustic was good again because of Powder Pandemonium, so Caustic's back into the deck. Otherwise, yeah, what does this deck do? It survives until turn 10, and then when turn 10 comes around, it wins the game. That's pretty much all you need to know.
And we will probably be getting into the last deck of the day, and it's Shen Jarvan. I don't really think of Kevil as a Demacia player, but...
No, but this is an Ionian deck. This is an Ionian deck. Hello? You have Simon. You have 2 copies of Simon.
Back me here, okay? This is pure Demacia. This is like Demacia with a bit of coolness. And, Ionia's got a bit of coolness. But Kevil, has played a lot of Demacia. People do relate him to a spell-heavy player, but he can play anything, and he can play it to the top of levels. And I remember when Red Glen was, a deck that was, one of the best. I've seen him play Red Glen almost perfectly, just non-stop, and you might not, relate him to, a tempo player, but he can just play absolutely anything. And this is why I love watching Kevil play, because he'll bring something like this and just show you lines where you might not have even thought of. And I really do like this list as well. 1 Sacred Protector is usually the standard. Some people like 2, but you have to kind of get off a rally, and he's not even on rally either. So kind of going for just a typical mid-range lineup with, some top end here.
Yeah, I mean, not much to really say about Shen Jarvan. This deck is peak 2017 LOR, where you just have a bunch of units, and you hopefully draw Shen. Because if you don't draw Shen, my God, is your deck garbage. But if you draw Shen, it's pretty good. So yeah, I'm beginning to see this trend where there's this Demacia deck that has a non-Demacia champion that it has to draw, or the deck is garbage. You have VLLY, you have Kaisa, you have Shen.
You've got Tristana, which is your champion's actually just champion strength. So...
Yeah. What's going on, dude? What's going on? But yeah, I mean, Kever can play this deck pretty well. Yeah, people think he's a spells-based player, but if you ever watch Kever in one of his streams and you listen to how he thinks, you find out that he's more associated with spells because he likes these decks more, not because he's bad at the other decks. Because the way Kever thinks about the game is very fundamental based. So a player that uses fundamentals is not going to be bad, on a different deck. So I have faith in Kever. I'm really excited to see how this set goes.
I mean, of course we have faith in Kevil. We're the biased, casters wanting to see MR succeeded. If you didn't see, early on with our predictions, new segment, we did actually have those up, and something cool to watch if you didn't see it prior. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see these. I am a bit biased to this, but VLLY has been kind of showing that they are still in it. And even though it was a bit of a rough start, Dragon can be the decider here and can kind of, not get slain and be the one who is slaying, because they also brought Analysis, which might be somewhat decent into maybe this deck only, really, because I know I don't want to be facing Samira Seraphine or Karma set with that.
Yep. Absolutely agreed. Maybe a little bit of lack of cohesion with Kever's lineup there, but maybe Kever's lineup was trying to do something other than just looking at Nasus, right? So it makes sense. Actually, this makes sense now that I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure that Kever is just gonna ban. He's probably just gonna ban either Jackthorn or Nasus. Probably Nasus. But the idea of his lineup is to play into Samira Fizz. My understanding.
Yeah, and I think you're actually not that bad into Nasus as well, just because of the barriers.
Yes, it's not awful, but it's not favored, but it's not awful.
Because you have a lot of early game then Nasus, but even though they kind of power spike and do all those big shenanigans, the barriers are a way to kind of get there, and I can see Kevil leaving it up, but then again, you could just say, hey, Jack's Horn is just not that powerful, and I'm going to ban the most powerful one, and I got to keep up Samira.
Maybe you need to work about it backwards. Maybe you need to think, okay, what is Dragon banning? And I think Dragon is banning probably Karma, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel it's either that or Samira, really. Oh, you could keep up the karma just because their list is a bit more awkward.
Yeah,
You know,
he
they
banned.
don't have
Wait,
that early game.
okay, that looked like an error. Samira Fizz is
Wow.
getting banned. Okay, so I think Kever is saying I'm targeting Samira Fizz. However, the other two decks in your lineup are not particularly good decks, so I'm gonna try to beat them. I think that's what's going on here.
I don't fully hate. I mean, like I
hate it. I despise it. I think this is the worst ban, unless I'm missing something like really. Maybe the Samira Seraphine Samira Fizz matchup isn't good for Samira Seraphine, but I can't imagine it being worse than Shen Jarvan having to play against either of these decks.
Look, Kevin's just doing this for content, okay? He knows that this is too easy already, and he just has to make it a bit, less easier for him, make it a bit harder, and give Dragon a chance. It's just mind games, that's all.
Yeah. Trevor is basically saying if I want to win my side bet, I gotta work hard for it, you know?
Like, think about it like this. Stolen Conscious was talking so much smack. Stolen Conscious lost in 2 seconds and went, okay, you know what? I'm going to just like play with my food here, make Dragon think he's got a chance, and then boom, I still win. But
yeah,
otherwise, like, these bans, the Samira Fizz ban is weird. I guess I'm still thinking about, like, maybe, these two decks aren't the greatest, and, like, the deck is just so powerful you want to ban it anyway. Because, like, I have listened to Margin Bay, and he said that he actually does ban Fizz Samira a lot of time, even with Samira Seraphine. So that could be a reason. Like, maybe Seraphine Samira isn't that good. But we are into the game now, and here we see these hands.
Oh boy, and it's Nasus versus Sanjay Foreign. Like, if you told Kever you would be the last match, and this is the first game, and this is the first matchup you have to play, yesterday he would have not been happy hearing that. And we'll see how it goes. But I am worried for my good friend here.
And hearing by your voice and, your certainty of this matchup, this is, NASA's favorite, right? That's insanely going your way. And wow, we also saw the Rock Bear here, so maybe we could potentially just play it slow and not play this other Asian prep just to get this Rock Bear, because you kind of get things going if that is the case, while also just quieting that 0-3 and getting it off the board straight away.
Yeah, let me check the matchup data to make sure I'm not coping. Yeah. This is a 44 for Shen Jarvan, so it's not like an unplayable matchup, but it's not a matchup that you're happy playing when there's so much at stake. So let's see how it goes. We're finally seeing a game of Nasus having vaults. I think we haven't seen vaults all day, right?
We have not. Yeah, this is the first time that we have seen it, and it's going to be very detrimental to Dragon winning this, because not only are you accelerating it faster with that ancient prep, if you just see it kind of skip a beat there, is because, well, that's how the interaction works. You get this Nasus out faster on turn 5, and this gets, Dragon already faster into the game. You will make it a 4-4, and even though you get the Nasus out, there is some funniness about it, because, like, it does technically die to that Dragon that will be coming out. But the thing is, you also have a Siphoning Strike, and that Siphoning Strike will be just, like, absolutely almost game deciding, if not.
Yeah, so like what? Kever plays Screeching Dragon here, and you don't even have to bonk the Screeching Dragon to keep the Nasus alive. You can bonk something else. You don't. It gets awkward a little bit maybe, but I like Dragon's position. This Quietus is this Quietus is actually quite good, right? Because if you use Form Up to save this, you can't form up the Screeching Dragon to kill the Nasus.
I wonder if it's that great though. Like, maybe you're Siphoning Strike straight away, but maybe there isn't actually a reason to Siphoning Strike as well. Like, we could just wait it out. Problem is, we're kind of behind on our vaults in, and if we lose the Nessus straight away, it's kind of sad, and we'll definitely see if that will be the case.
So Kever is taking his time to think about it. I think he doesn't have a decision here. Like, you have to let this go, and then you form up the Screeching Dragon, and you pull the Nasus. Yeah, we see this coming down. Yeah, Kever is taking his time. Okay, no, we just had to reconnect. Looks like.
Okay, I was scared for a second because I thought that was the pass button, and I was like, oh.
No, dude. Yeah. So the Nasus, so one Nasus down, but there's another one in our hand. We're not insanely happy. Oh, okay. I guess this makes sense. Yeah. So you play this Bakai, and you get the third Nasus out of your deck. The only thing you need to be wary of is that this is your last Nasus, technically, but you also have Rekindlers in your deck, so it's not horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because, like, I don't think this achieves much besides just Siphoning Strike. Like, sure, maybe you have a Siphoning Strike for later, but is that more impactful than doing it now when, if they, like, barrier, it doesn't actually do anything?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure because I don't know how to play this matchup, and I'm not sure what the Nasus player is actually supposed to do. What I do know, though, is how much of a threat is the Sacred Protector going to be? That's the question I need to ask myself, because I'm assuming Kever just gave it Challenger. Yeah, so this Vault is going to kill Nasus, bring down Rekindler, revive Nasus. Nasus is going to be a 8/8, and you get this blocker. You play the Sacred Protector. Vengeance off the top is amazing. Yeah.
It is if you could play both of them, but like we're saying, the Secret Protector into barrier actually might. Hold on, okay. This is weird because, like, man, maybe killing off your own Nasus could run into a lot of problems here.
No, you just do this, and then Nasus can't die. Yeah, well,
right.
it can. But it can't because you go prismatic barrier, right? But like the idea, the play is like Dragon is making the correct play. It's just that like Kever has the answer.
Yeah. So we lose our protector though in that case, right? On the basis of how double attack works. Does it die? Like,
No, because the second strike barrier dies. The barrier gets popped. You see what I mean?
All right, but we're...
Yeah, and Kever is doing this to play around Quicksand, I'm guessing?
I see why. Like, the Terra does just fold a lot of things here. But Kever doesn't know what to pull. He's just like... He's really just like, what am I doing?
Like, pulling the Rekindler doesn't actually do anything because this Rekindler comes back. Like, the board state doesn't change. I guess you stop Dragon from getting into an 8 to get to the 8 drop. But are you like... What's the plan here? Like, are you trying... What is Kever going for? Because he's going for something by delaying the skill on Nasus. But I'm not sure I follow it completely.
Is he trying to, like, weirdly run them out of resources?
Yes, but is it working?
Kinda. I mean, like, Dragon doesn't really have much going on.
And this Nasus swing is risky here because of if Nasus swings, we're gonna have to let's see what happens. This is a weird position.
The Vengeance top deck is kind of nice though, right? Like,
we predicted it, Annie. What do you mean?
Well, okay, I was too focused in this game set. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like Kever was focusing way too much on the challenges, like what I was gonna do. I kind of lost. I was lost in the source here. But I don't hate this Nasus. Like, it makes sense swinging. You're gonna get one trade through, and like it's probably not gonna die to anything.
Yeah, like. I guess you can put the Nasus. You can hope that the Nasus gets out of the range of. Forma plus a prismatic barrier, but this is a really mind-boggling position for me. Okay, and yeah, Kever opts to go for this. Just says I take 15 and I'll let the Nasus flip. What's the idea here?
I don't know. I'm too scared about saying anything, honestly. This is
Bro, let him
pretty much
cook. Let him
mind-boggling.
cook. Clearly, we're watching the gods play and we just don't understand what's going on, right? Like,
Yeah, this is the thing with Kivo. Like, you run into lines where you're like, this surely isn't right. This surely isn't right. And then he just, like, wins. And, like, you don't see it until he actually wins, and you're like, oh.
as long as he's not playing from his bus, which he may or may have not have done previously this season. The deny is not a bad draw. So I guess like technically you can kill this Nasus, but then but Dragon just has the third copy. Let's see. Yeah, so you do this, you pull the Nasus. Yeah, this is the idea. And that's it. You don't swing with anything. Do you swing with Screeching? Yeah, you probably do. You pull the probably the 2-3. I don't think the Shepherd matters anymore.
Do we try and kill off the Rekindler here? Just so they actually just don't, like, get these vaults to, like, keep...
how do we kill the Rekindler? I don't think you are allowed to pre-commit farm up.
Okay, yeah. That might be too much of a committal to do that. Might be too committal.
Yeah, and the Vengeance comes out. Deny top deck was huge because you deny here and the Nasus is dead, but you're gonna get the third Nasus. Wait. Yeah, okay. This should be fine.
Okay, so they have one Terra in the title, in the Terra of Tides coming out that will minimize some stuff here and try and push for lethal, but you can't do anything with that. There's actually too many fearsome blockers to even get through here, and this board isn't actually looking scary.
A genius friend of mine from production just pointed out to me that you could have gone after the Rekindler, because if you kill the Nasus, the Screeching goes back to being a 4-5, right? And then you can pull and then the Rekindler dies.
Oh, right, it could, yeah. Okay. So you could have actually gone for it. And it's such a hard line to see, and this Terra swing
as a caster, yeah. As a caster, it's quite hard to see, yes.
But this isn't horrible for Kivo. Like, this looked like a really tough spot, but, like, Kivo did run them out of resources now, and this is looking slightly more favorable. Just trying to get some, leeway here, keep all your units alive, besides that caretaker at least, and wow, this is like, we talked about that weird trait earlier on and wondering, like, why are you keeping this Nasus alive? But weirdly enough, I think it was to actually run them out of resources, and that's such a weird thing. And look, Hate Spike is there. That does proc off a, certain barrier, but that at least maybe keeps the Nasus alive. But you also just found the single combat, so none of that really matters, and you do have the availability to actually get rid of this Nasus now.
Wow, Kever just outgrind the triple Nasus, huh?
Oh my goodness. But that's the thing, like, you look at this deck, what is this deck? It is just Nasus. Everything else doesn't really do anything, and this kind of goes towards why Kever, from a micro to macro to even out of the game thought process standpoint, is one of the best, because that's what he was playing for, and we were so confused by it. And this Hate Spike comes out, tries to deny that idea of him having a sense of, like, playing to this macro sense, but that top deck will save him here and keep you into this game while, the Dragon having nothing but vaults in their hand, and vaults are usually cash money, but not in this case.
Yeah, like, sure, you can say, but Kever top decked, and it's like, yeah, he did, but, like, he played for these top decks. Like, it's a legit thing to be rewarded for playing towards your top decks. So, yeah,
and the Pog comes out here.
Beautiful. Just like, Bro, let him cook, man. Kever 2-4, man. In the flesh. And the blood.
This is really funny though.
Yeah, triple vaults is a sight to see. Oh, and the J4. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Can we chain into anything here? You get the Camavorian
because your slot, you have a rampaging Bakai, I guess, because I think you're out of Nastus's, right?
Yeah, so you only go up to the rampaging and it just does nothing, and Kevor does have the board. We saw a majority of those vengeances. I'm pretty sure with this amount of challenges, they have no access to really do anything at all. Because of the terror. But that is it. Kevor, looking like he was in the most horrible spot, showed why we were in a concerning, census of going like, we didn't want to talk about it. We didn't really want to, jinx ourselves or make us look silly, but this is why Kevor just wins. It doesn't look like he will, but he is just a mind of his own and takes the dub here.
Let him cook, man. Let him cook. Kevor on a roll, man. My guy is saying, I will show up and I will win the bad matchup no matter what. And he did that with excellent navigation. I think it's really hard to see the lines that he took because from a caster POV, it's hard to spot these technical things about how Nasus affects the attack of each unit. But also, if I was playing that game in Kevor's shoes, I would never win. I don't think I ever win that game. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it so many times, even in the money match, which is funny because, he's doing a money match here, but the money match against RPG, you saw so many weird lines against, it was Targon Karma versus Echo, and he kept the Echo alive so many times where he, could have killed it and been in a better spot, but that understanding of keeping Echo alive so they didn't have any other outs really changed the game, and that kind of echoes to a situation where he did similar things, keeping this Nasus alive and making the Rekindler just throw out these other ones here for it to not be a problem, and it just showed dividends and why Kevor can be one of the best players. But we are into this game here, and Kevor bringing the spicy list and seeing if it will get past this Nasus.
I'm I have been told that I am someone who should as a caster I should not be calling games too quickly, but Kevor is just gonna win this game. There's I see Aftershock in Kevor's hand, and I'm already just
Aftershock where? Oh yeah, sorry, I'm blind. All right. Oh,
I mean, there it is. There it is. There it is. I actually saw into the future. I was totally not referring to the PNZ Telstone. I was just referring to the actual top deck because I can see into the future. But, yeah.
This is good, but I think we might need to be using this Aftershock on the 5/5, weirdly enough. Not anymore because they do throw the vaults. I guess there could be some concern to actually do it on the onto the rock bear, but the vaults makes a lot of sense as well because it would get the 4/4 out.
Yeah, and we see the Seraphim come down early, which is maybe. Is it correct? It's Kevor, man. I trust him. It's probably correct.
I like it. But yeah, we that's a really nice top deck from the Samira. Just getting Samira in general is always nice to see, and you do have some leeway now to also just get the maybe in Kevor's shoes, maybe potentially use Telstones to get rid of this 5/5, but maybe he's not concerned as well. You can wait it out if there was some sense of another vaults. You're just in such a great position, and now you could deal with that as well if they have it.
Yep, and we see this position, and I'm thinking Kevor just gets to do whatever he wants, right? Yeah, Dragon has his engines, but once you play this vaults, it dies to Aftershock. Sorry, it dies to the PNZ Telstone into Aftershock, and I guess Like sometimes the Nasus is a little tedious to remove because it requires more than one card. But it's like the only thing you have to remove. Sure, you have to probably go through like 4 of them on average because of just how long the games will take when you play Samir and Seraphine. But I believe Kever is playing copies of Hex Obliterator, right, in his deck?
I'm pretty sure that he's running a one-off, and I mean, yeah, you can kind of wait it out, but yeah, Talstone's now going to get that much value, and a reason why people like doubling up on Aftershock and Talstones is for certain situations like this, and really, really nice. Even though this Rock Bear will come down next turn, you can deal with it too. You know, you do actually have like a potential to kill it. You can also wait. The beauty of this is it is your attack turn, and I don't know if you do want to wait because you have nothing, but Kevo decides to pass with this nothing instead.
Yeah. This Nasus comes down as a 4/4, and you're a little bit sad. Like
You're so sad.
That's so tragic to see, man. That's so tragic to see.
At least you have like the Rekindler, but it's still just this 4/4 coming out of that Rekindler.
Yeah, it's like what, maybe sometimes a 5/5 if you like Soul Harvest the Seraphine, but like actually you don't have the mana to do that unless you play the Rekindler even later, so you're giving Kever too much time. And I guess the thing that needs to be said is like, sure, okay, yeah, Kever has the tools, but also like Kever's deck doesn't have a win condition, so like it's gonna take some time. But I would say he's in an okay spot.
Yeah, you have double bar though, and wow, I really do love this this holding out on, you know, the high note, and it is to play around that Rekindler. Like now that their swing is this, it's not too worrisome, and you can kind of, you know, play with the idea of just like being a bit more conservative, and you still can still play your bar out. So I really do like this play from Kever here.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
This like he goes to 6, but he just gets to play bar. He probably has to scream Blue God. I don't know if he did, but I hope he did.
No, he did. Trust me. I know. Kever.
I believe. Okay, so what? The Soul Harvest goes to Seraphine. Production is pointing out to me that Kever pulled Albus off of the back alley bar and is like really excited, but I don't think that actually means anything, right?
No, it doesn't. Why would production ever like talk to the guys and go, "Look, you got Albus! Oh my goodness!" If anything, like your 6-cost spells are never going to be, you know, buffing up your Albus.
Yeah, they're not 6-cost spells.
Reduced. But this is a really nice, like, even though.
Oh my god!
Wow!
Look at these top decks. So Dragon draws Vaults, Kever draws Scorched. They're beautiful, beautiful.
This has happened every time as well. The Aftershock was also another reflection to this, and Confront being played just an understanding of hand space. I do really like that here, and that bar is really scary now when we can potentially kill off this necessary. Sure, you know, hate spike is a problem, but you might need a daughter on the 5/5, and that doesn't feel great. And I just want to, you know, point something out. This Disintegrate is 0 mana, and all these other cards can kind of deal with everything on this board here. You can deal with this Vaults, you can actually deal with this Nessus as well, and you can kind of just like neutralize the board for Dragon to not really run away with this.
Yeah, Kever is one happy kid right now. I would like to guess. I guess like the only thing that like his hand is missing is some value. Like yeah, there is this rummage, but you hopefully want to hold it until Seraphine flips so you can double it. But like the position is super good with double bar. Mana is never an issue. The Disintegrate always means that the Nasus goes away whenever you want it to. Yeah, this is looking really, really rough for Dragon, and it's like really, really. I feel really. I would feel really discouraged if I was on the Nasus side right now.
I really like how we thought that the Nasus ban was probably the most correct thing, and then Kevo just goes, nope. and just like absolutely just showcasing how he could just run away with this. And talking about running away, this Disintegrate can kind of just be even more impactful here. I'm pretty sure we can maybe flip the high note, so you just like get both of any potential problems of like maybe the Rock Bear and the Terror or the Nessus away. This is just such a pretty sight for Kiva to see, and might be going for something like that, but not overcommitting.
Yeah, you talking about like you were talking about running away with the game. There's definitely a universe here where this Tenor of the Tides comes down. That's the name of the card, right? Tenor of the Tides.
Yes.
Yeah, like there's definitely a universe where that card comes down and it's like really rough because you don't actually have a way to deal with it, and then like Fearsomes connect and Kever's only on 6 HP, so like it could have been an out, but Kever's hand is just too good here.
Yeah. Like, now we can just some fumes, rummage into some fumes, kill the Nessus off as well, and they actually don't have a board to get through. And then, like, sure, you're in the waiting room of, like, finding certain cards, but the thing is, you don't really mind. You can wait for a while now, you just need some board, because, like we addressed in the previous game, is this deck is very heavily reliant on, Nessus and Volts. And when you don't have either of those, and even if you might get Nessus on, it won't do much. With Kevil's deck, and you do find the type of cards that make this deck turn into a win con with Plaza Guardian and Samira, which, if there wasn't enough pressure going on, this will be the cards you needed here.
Absolutely. I mean, like, there are Vengeances in Dragon's Hand to buy some time, but... Like, maybe if Kever doesn't have a second Disintegrate here, this game is actually winnable for Dragon, because their Kindler brings back a Nasus, and that Nasus is, like, hard to kill. Stuff like this, but... I fail to see an out. Maybe if you top deck, like, maybe Deny from Dragon's side, Deny from Dragon's side is, like, good here.
Well, I think, yeah, you might have to soon. Like, there's actually so much weird threat density that could be available for Kevlar. Like, because I think this Pursuit might be coming out soon, like, the amount of cards being played. And then that gets rid of one Vengeance. And then, not only that, but if you've noticed, Kevlar never really kills any of his champions. Like, Kevlar really tries to make it known that he's going to let this stick and just, like, eventually deal with it, but doesn't want to overcommit, because, like, that Rekindler might be a problem, or, another Nasus might be a problem as well. And it's a lot of, like, what people miss out on. If you're a player, you might want to be killing these champions straight away, and that's not always the case. And Kevlar showcases why it's always good to keep them around.
And there's that Albus that production was telling me about. It's so broken, man. Yeah, even got the Ezreal sweat emote reaction, man. Clearly. Oh, and the holy, and the formula off the top.
And
wait, it's a 6-cost spell. Wait, it's a 6-cost spell for Albus.
You literally had to play Formula previously as well for this to even be +1 damage.
What beautiful. Oh, and we chain it to the drum solo. Wow. What yeah, this just like snowballs really hard, and like Kever's hand just became like significantly better. I feel like you could say maybe there were outs if Dragon like predicts him to a deny, he plays the Rekindler, gets another I guess Rekindler's not activated because Nasus isn't dead yet, but like if the Nasus dies, you play Rekindler and then you have your own deny when you swing next turn. But not anymore, because it just doesn't work because of Kever's hand. And
the challenge becomes a pseudo removal here, and the Vengeance does have to come out. But wow, a Clockling being 1 mana is kind of a worry, because like, what was the worry here is just finding more draw, and this is literally Dragon just trying to find something to go on that might survive and might get through, but the time is ticking, and the Samira being such a cheap champion means you might want to Vengeance it, and if that's the case, you're going to hit that rally standpoint, and that time is it's just dwindling. There's not really anything Dragon can do in the Rekindler pickup without without anything the proc maybe as a top deck is just not what you want to see here.
Yeah, I mean the thing about this deck is that eventually it turns into a Samira deck, and like with this Seraphine, like you're just gonna be able to chain off. You're gonna be able to chain off spells. Actually, does Cover have lethal here? It's close.
So we haven't. Yeah. So the Mystic. It depends what else. So, if we have a Mystic generation, maybe. Like some cubes. Okay.
High Note is new, right? So Mystic Ghost Face, High Note is new.
High Note isn't new. So this is lethal.
Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, lethal, it's Mystic. Yeah, it's lethal. This should be lethal. Wow. Yeah. Wait, actually, Cover, please draw parallel conversions, please. Please. I beg.
Does he find it? He finds it!
Yes! Yeah, let's go.
Surely we just made it here. Come on. No. Oh, come on. Parallel, they block, and then you just Mystic. Oh, surely. Oh,
it's fine. We just do it now. Right. Come on. Do it. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Beautiful. Good gameplay.
Doing it in style.
No. Why did Dragons? Man, I can't get anything nice in life, man. I hate it here. Do you know how like the second parallel convergence works? It revives, like it summons like copies of the ephemeral allies as well. Like it doubles, like it's exponential. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, I know. And well, look, Dragon wants to get out of there because Kevor does take it. It looked like a very close one, almost scary to a point where maybe, well, scary for like anyone who wasn't an MRT, who is an MRT fan, that they might not take it. And VLLY really did pull up a fight, but sadly, Kevor just says no to that. 2-0's Nasus, been a 2-0 throughout the whole day here, and now we just wait for an interview from a very grueling and exciting, day of matches.
Yeah, this was a blast to cast, and we've seen so many dominant sets. Like it was like, was Tank's first set also a 2-0?
Oh, it was all 2-0s today.
Beautiful. Yeah, it was just 2-0. Yeah, we'll be going shortly in an interview with Cover to talk to him about his experience today and also ask him about how much he is capable of cooking, because we saw a lot of cooking today. But before we get to that, one last thing I have to say is that the Aegis Esports LoR in the VLLY is brought to you in part by Community Gaming. Community Gaming is an all-in-one tournament platform that helps supercharge events of all levels, from community grassroots to tier 1 professional events. Experience it yourself. Start playing and earning at communitygaming.io today. We just wait for Cover, and then we're gonna talk to him about the cooking.
Kevor is literally the embodiment of let him cook. Holy!
I mean, he's a chef, no?
Oh yeah, literally, he is an actual embodiment. He literally cooks. I don't actually know what cuisine he cooks. I've always just thought maybe he's like a bistro cooker. He just cooks.
Well, if we get him for an interview, we can ask him that question. Who cares about the LoR stuff, man? We ask the real stuff.
We just change it into like a pure like biography of like knowing Kevor. Like we just ask him how he was raised, like where he's from.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I'm super down to hear him out, and it does look like Cover will be the one joining. Yo, Cover, my guy.
Hello,
can you hear us?
Hello, I can hear you just fine, my dude.
Dude, can I say something? You are beautiful.
Oh, you're beautiful too,
You are beautiful.
You,
now to the real questions. Did you play Combat Cook because you're a chef, or do you think it's correct?
A little bit of both.
I see.
Mainly this list I stole and worked a bit on with What Am I? And main cards I just don't like with Jarvan Chen. Things like Moral Support, I think this card is garbage. So just playing like a little bit more mid-range dudes. And did you like how I played that first game? I was going for killing all of their Nasus from turn 4 onwards.
Yeah,
Anigo.
That was the main, like, I don't know, not critique, but the main thought we had into that game because it was so perplexing to watch. Like, well, what is Kevlar doing? And then you kind of realize, wait, is he just trying to outvalue the Nasus players?
I was chilling, man. He has the vault. I just need to kill them all. Just need to kill all the Susan. And if I try to kill him, it never works, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't think of that as well, and the way that you knew how to navigate that game plan and just seeing that unfold was like such a beautiful thing, and something I try and echo as well, because like I've watched you before on broadcast, especially you had a similar series with like an Aegis for EMEA. There was a lot of plays where I was so confused, especially when you're playing Red Glen. You just like showed people that you knew what you were doing, and those players that looked super suspect won you the game. And it echoes to the point where that was exactly what you're doing with Nasus, and it's just like, it's honestly just such a sight to see.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. It was good games. I like them.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Also, I want to thank you so much because you had like 5 ways to finish the second game, and you chose the coolest way. And we all know there was a certain someone today who had that opportunity and didn't take it twice.
So, I had to forgive from. I had to come back from the prodigy throw. Like after he could have won with so much more coolness, and he didn't. The big throw.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was so disappointed, but yeah, like everything Annie said, you are a great player, and that was really entertaining to watch. Like really, really entertaining to watch. I think like the navigation of the Shen versus Nasus game maybe was not perfect, but it was good than most people would be doing. And like,
I'll take it.
You played for the outs, and you top deck deny into single, and it was like insane. Like, it was nuts.
Yeah, once I do the deny, I felt pretty good, and the single just sealed it. Yeah, felt good.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you're playing against Big Fish Gaming Marlin next week. Any thoughts?
Oh, all I hear is I'm getting to semi-final. That sounds great.
Okay, and you're playing as Bass Pro Shops in top 4. Any thoughts?
Yeah, we'll work a bit. We'll do our second ever team call once we face Bass Pro Shop. Maybe figure something out, and then like we'll work in the finals. Like if RPG get there, But no, seriously, Targon's Valley, like they put out a fight, man. It was great, and I don't know if you guys heard, but I had a side bet with Stone and Conch on that.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
And we put it to the very last game. I think it was great content.
Actually, what was the idea behind your ban? Because we wanted to know.
So after I talked to my team a bit, I thought I could have also banned Nasus. I didn't want to ban Jack's Horn, mainly because I cannot bring myself to ban that deck, and I think most of my deck were super happy into it. I could have let Phil Samira up, but I figured that I was confident enough for my J4 Shen to pick up a win into Jack's Horn that I didn't mind leaving the slight ban matchup into Nasus. And I also played that matchup quite a while. I played J4 Shen in the open.
Oh, okay. Wait, it always sounds weird to me when you say you played Shen J4 in the open, but I need to just remember that's a double sign in Ionia deck, so it counts. It counts.
True. But yeah, I think I could have banned also Nasus and playing 2 Fist Samira because my lineup was happy to play 2 Fist Samira. But just after doing some maths and just figuring it out, we just banned the best deck and decided to just play into the what I would say less than optimal pile and hopefully just kill it,
Fair enough.
And just before we wrap it up, I kind of want to talk about prep and lineup construction because that's a major part. And I just want to pick your brain. What were the kind of major things you were kind of going into this week, and what were you trying to like target or maybe play for as an idea of prep?
Yeah, I like it. Like I've done a fair bit of Ironman at this point with the 5v5s and things like that, and I like having some high amount of polarization in Ironman just in general. We felt like, and we even almost brought double Prodigy's lineup or like something similar because we felt like in that format it makes a lot of sense for people to have triple Demacia or something very close to what Vengevin had. So I like having a leading lineup. I like having like an all around good stuff lineup, kind of like what Tank Job was doing. Like he's polarized into a couple things, but nothing is crazy. It's just good deck. And then I like having two other very polarized lineup into very specific thing. I want to say exactly what my lineup was trying to be polarized against, but Prodigy, I think it kind of shows itself just being with the Astra Blanc specifically and things like that. I think those types of deck in exactly Iron Man format, they get to shine a little bit more and they're a little bit better. Like I'd say Astra Blanc is a trash deck and you should not bring it in tournament. But in Iron Man specifically, there's merit to those types of deck and you can bring like tier 3 pals and things like that.
Yeah, that's really good, insightful thing to bring up, because like there's a lot of ways you can kind of tackle King of the Hill formats, but I really like the way that you kind of brought it to the light of like specific roles, and I think a lot of people don't really do that, and we see
we each have very defined roles, so that's a good tip for Iron Man. Like make sure that you know like your job, like and when then it's best to pick into one guy and or things like that. There's a lot of mind game goes as well in Iron Man, right? So it's not perfect, but there's a lot of ways to go about it.
Right. And Hash, do you have any more questions for Kevil? Probably LoR related. We were kind of on our seats maybe asking you personal chef questions as a joke, but yeah, Hash, you got any more questions here?
Yeah, Annie was very interested in what cuisine you cook, but I care. Yeah, go.
I specialize in French cuisine mainly.
That exists.
Yeah,
I mean, the French they have good taste. Like you put butter and salt and everything until it doesn't take it anymore and tastes good.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think we can ask a lot of questions and sit here all day because LoR is a very interesting game. But to wrap it up, is there anything you want to say? The floor is open. Any shout-outs, thank yous, any banter? You want to call out BFG Marlon maybe? Make fun of them?
Yeah, BFG, man, hit me up. We can set up something. But shout out to Conch for taking the bet and Targon's Valley for being great opponents. Look out for... now I have a tweet that I can do from Conch account, and I firmly intend on slow rolling it until I can bait the maximum number of people to play a shitty Ionia Pie or something. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, just shout out to my team as well. Good prep. We've taken this the before playoff quite lightly. We're just chilling, and now that we're in playoff mode, it feels good to start doing the team call and start working on a good lineup.
Yeah, you didn't play. You didn't play from the bus today, right?
Not today. I've done it a fair amount of times in Aegis, as you know, but not today.
Good habits. Good habits.
Don't jinx it, Ash, because like Prodigy is then also going to be playing on the airport next week, and Kevin is going to be playing at the bus.
True. It does that. It works 50% of the time every time.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Kevin, for our interview. But we will be wrapping it up for the round of 16 today. We couldn't showcase all of the results, but have a look out on Aegis Twitter, and they'll probably be there. Otherwise, join the Discord, and with that, we will be ending it. So hopefully, we'll see you next week for top 8, and we'll catch you all then later. Catch you all.
Oh, yeah. Okay, to be fair, like, Annie is kind of a bozo. Like, all the results are actually, like, out, so we can just go through the top 8 brackets real quick. It's going to be ABG Piltover against BBBSS, Red Pop Games against PFG Pass, Bass Pro Shops versus Team Space Poggers, and Mastering Winter Tryhards against Big Fish Gaming Marlin. That's going to be our top 8. We also have a consolation bracket, but, yeah, I mean, this is the main bracket, so...
Really made my smooth transition just like go to shambles. Like, well, doesn't matter. That will be it. We'll catch you all next week. If you have a team you've been rooting for and you want to see them compete, then yeah, watch out for next week. I'll catch you later.
See you.
Take care, guys. Peace.
like a bomb squad.